Since December 23rd. They had a welcome event at Fenway Park where the players, coaches were able to sign their names inside of the Green Monster scoreboard. The Fenway Bowl officials had baseballs and gloves ready for the team to take and throw around the outfield to have some fun in a baseball stadium for a college football bowl game. Lots of fun events and really embracing the cold weather bowl game this is. And as we mentioned, it's going to be in the 20s for a good portion of today. I think there's an open, we have our window closed, Dean, but Joe Beckerly had already teased it. There's an open board somewhere in our booth, so it is not quite warm in here either, but it's a lot colder on the field as we bring back Tony Marino. And Tony, what's the atmosphere like? I know the Fenway Park folks did a great job clearing away the snow. A good amount of fans are making their way, especially in the sideline seats. This really only has one sideline for football, Fenway Park, and it just looks like we're setting up for a great atmosphere.
Yeah, certainly. And first off, my heart bleeds for you with that one board out up there, guys. It must be very cold. You mentioned the fans. I'm impressed with the fans that have made their way in today despite the cold temperatures. We're going to see low 20s for a high today, and the sun is just about to go down behind the press box area there. So the whole field will pretty much be in shadow without any sun. So for the majority of this game. So, yeah, I'm impressed that they came out. I'll say this about the frozen field here. I mentioned earlier, it feels like cement, actually, or asphalt underneath here. You go back to, there was a game called the Sneaker Game. It was an NFL game, the Giants and the Bears, in the old Polo Grounds in 1934. In that game, the cleats that they had on were breaking off. So I don't think that's quite going to happen, especially today, as we're nearly 100 years removed from when they were making cleats back then. But it is pretty cold. It's going to be interesting to see. You guys were talking earlier about staying in the middle of the field. At some point, every area of this field is going to become worn. If it came down to a field goal kick, I'd be a little bit worried about the middle of that field. In either hash mark, you'd look for the better one. But just getting back to the atmosphere here, guys, with the crowd here that has made their way in, they're bundled up. We've got fans up on the Green Monster. They're going to watch the game from there. We heard from Eric Shapinski earlier from the Assistant Athletic Director for Communications, and he just talked about the week up here. They all got engraved bats that were given to them, the players. They have made the most of this. It is a reward for the season, and certainly they've been rewarded by being here, and let's hope these fans are rewarded with a good game today.
That should be a lot of fun. And think about it, Tony. This moment is probably the warmest you're going to be this entire game.
Thanks a lot, Rich. Appreciate that.
The 1934 NFL Championship game, the Sneaker Game. Giants changed to sneakers at halftime. Dean Darling scored 27 points in the fourth quarter to defeat the undefeated Chicago Bears. So it wasn't just Super Bowl 42 where the Giants won a championship over a previously undefeated team. Also, 1934, the Giants over George Halas's Chicago Bears. So Dean Darling, they're getting set for the pregame here, and we're a couple of moments away from the teams entering the field. Then, of course, the national anthem and the coin toss as Army coming out of the first base dugout, the Boston Red Sox dugout, and awaiting their entrance. Let's go down to the field and our public address announcer for today's national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
A beautiful rendition of our national anthem. Fireworks go off in right center field, and the American flag unfurled over the Green Monster in left field, moments away from the start of Army and Connecticut in the 2025 Fenway Bowl. Right now, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification across the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
920 WGHQ Kingston, 1260 WBNR Beacon, and 1420 WLNA Peekskill. This is the Army Black Knights Football Radio Network on 92.5 FM in Kingston, 96.5 FM in Beacon, and 94.3 FM in Peekskill.
It's Army and Connecticut in the Fenway Bowl. The teams just about set to make their appearances on the field. Army, the home team, they are coming out of the Boston Red Sox dugout. They got to use the Red Sox clubhouse for this game. The Army will be wearing its white uniform tops with black helmets and black pants. UConn in its usual home blue uniform types with white helmets and white pants. UConn without its head coach, Gordon Samus, the interim coach. And once this game's over, he's going to be on his way to TCU as the offensive coordinator. The new coach coming in, Jason Candle. That was a great hire by UConn to replace Jim Moore.
Yeah, he was there 10 years. He guided them this past year to an 8-4 record, winningest coach in the history of their program. They won 2 MAC conference titles, championships. So obviously they got a good one in Candle, but with him coming in, the transition now on the move, they decided to keep Samus here, even though, as you said, Samus is going to follow Jim Mora in his path after this game. So a lot of different things going on for this game. When you think about it, obviously the weather, the rosters, the transfer portal, you said, Rich, it doesn't really affect Army West Point as much, obviously, as a UConn. So there's just a transitional phase to this game.
And Gordon Samus will head off to work for Sonny Dykes down in Fort Worth, which is a bowl game in Fort Worth. We've been familiar with here at Army, of course, the Armed Forces Bowl, which this year will be played on January 2nd. But what an experience for this Army team, getting a chance to play in the 2025 Fenway Bowl here at Fenway Park, a bowl in only its 4th year. And UConn won this game 1 year ago over North Carolina, which was a team with an interim coach at the time. And now Army goes up against UConn with their coaching situation in transition. And the Army team on the top steps of the dugout. Let's go back down to Tony Marino to paint the picture of the Black Knights taking the field.
The UConn Huskies first to the field, fires ablazing, flags in the air, and now your Army Black Knights, Jack Latour, will be on the black flag. Among those leading them out, of course, Andon Thomas, Caleb Fortner up front. They'll wait for the clear here. The all clear from the UConn side, and then Army faithful. A lot of black and gold in the crowd here. And Army waits atop that top step there of the Red Sox dugout, Rich.
And it's a great sight here. The team's taking the field at Fenway Park, and then the coin toss, and then the opening kick. Rich DeMarco, Dean Darling, Joe Beckerly, and Tony Marino with you here at Fenway Park for the 2025 Fenway Bowl across the Army Sports Network. Army taking on Connecticut. There'll be 24 Black Knights, 24 players, part of this senior class, including a graduate last week, Jarrell Dixon, who had served as a player, then as a student coach manager for the latter part of his career. So 23 suited up and taking the field here today for the final time in an Army uniform. And it's really the juxtaposition of college football teams. You have one team in transition, a lot of opt-outs, and actually some, behind the scenes convincing of UConn players to play in this game to an Army team. The only players not playing in this game are those physically unable to do so. Army wants to win this game so badly, and they want to be at their best.
Yeah, they sure do. And it's interesting about the Fenway Bowl. It never got off the ground in 2020 as COVID attacked it. 21, it was scheduled. Again, it got postponed because of COVID. So this is the 4th annual Fenway Bowl, and Army's really happy to be in a bowl. It's just an extra gift, so to speak, at the end of the season. And they were allowed to go home after finals. Then they met, as you said, the team here in Boston on the 23rd, and they're going to be honored by being the home team. That's the reason they're now lined up outside the tunnel, right below us, as we are directly behind home plate so to speak, where our vantage point is.
And Skylar Bell, the UConn consensus All-American wide receiver, comes to that corner of the stadium to take a knee for a moment. So Bell is suited up. He's going to play. The question for Skylar Bell is going to be how long he will play. And here comes Army taking the field to the fireworks. In the white uniform tops, black helmets, and black pants. So we are just a couple of minutes before the opening kick. Army and UConn here in the 2025 Fenway Bowl from Boston. Army running into the last patch of sunny area on this Fenway Park field. And both teams on the same sideline, which is something we've seen a handful of bowl games over the years, mostly in stadiums that are baseball predominant stadiums, whether it be the old Seattle Bowl played up at T-Mobile Park, whether it be the Emerald Bowl played in San Francisco, even the Rate Bowl. Now the teams are on opposite sidelines in Phoenix. Used to be the same sideline. Time now for the coin toss. Down to the field, Tony Marino.
And in just a moment, we'll go to James Carter, the referee for today's game. Kellen Fortner and Thomas, they stayed out at midfield. UConn walks out, so a rare one for me. I walk out with them as we come to midfield. Day explains pleasantries. And here is the referee for today's game, James Carter. He'll have the coin toss.
Congratulations on a successful season, guys, and welcome to the Fenway Bowl this evening. Army, you're the visiting team. You'll call the toss. UConn, you're the home team. This is the coin. The Wasabi Bowl logo is heads. The team's tails. What's your call, Army? Tails. Tails is the call. And Mike Welch, the EVP and CMO of Wasabi Technologies, will do us the honors.
Good luck, Jeff. Good luck. It is cold.
It is tails.
Defer.
I want you to defer. You want the ball? Which way would you like to kick?
Kicking that way.
Kicking towards that way. All right, gentlemen.
So there you go. Army wins the toss. And the Thomas emphatic, of course, he'll defer. He'll kick from right center field, if you will, at least that end zone direction. And then, of course, UConn will defend towards the home plate area. For the call of the game in the Fenway Bowl, Army and UConn, here's Rich DeMarco and Dean Darling.
This one's going to be a lot of fun, and we have opt-outs, though we actually do have an injury report for today's game, Dean Darling.
Yes, we do, Rich, and out for Army is Jacob Tuioti, a nose tackle, wide receiver Liam Fortner, safety Casey Larkin. Big hit for Army in that secondary. Defensive lineman DeShantez Gray. Out for UConn, again, opt-outs. There's the quarterback, Joe Figliano. Also starting left tackle, Ben Morosky. Starting right tackle, Karsten Cassidy. Starting defensive lineman, Vincent Carroll Jackson. Backup quarterback, Nick Evers. And that's just a few to name. As we go along, we'll try and pick up more.
And it's going to be a lot of fun, as we have mentioned. Army, and if you listen to the coin toss, the road team usually calls it. Army called it, which the road team usually does. But Army came out of the home dugout. They're listed as the home team on the scoreboard, though they're wearing the visiting uniforms, and called the toss as the visitor. So here we are, Army and UConn finally heading up toward kickoff, and Army deferring. So we're going to get our first look at what will be a new look UConn offense here to begin this game. It'll be Anderson Britton in his final collegiate game, teeing it up, and felt so good for Anderson getting to play a full season this year after having his 2024 year cut short by an injury. Back deep, Mel Brown, the senior, along with Jackson Harper for Connecticut. Army kicking off right to left. Here is Britton advancing on the football, and here comes the boot. Good leg into it in the cold. It comes down to Brown at the 4-yard line on the near hash. Runs straight ahead, 15-yard line. Cuts back to the 20, near the 25-yard line. He's brought down. Looks like he got just a bit short of that 25. And the tackle for Army, Elijah Walton, the sophomore inside linebacker. And UConn will come out first and 10 from its own 24-yard line. Got an idea who the quarterback's going to be. Let's start with the offensive line, though. Torian Johnson playing for the opted-out Ben Morowski. Kyle Juergens at left guard. Wes Ho, the center. Brady Wayburn, the right guard. Ty Chant getting the start at right tackle for the opted-out Karsten Cassidy. Out on the field, it's Kason Farrar, the freshman from Virginia Beach. The running back, Victor Rosa. So Cam Edwards not starting this game. Skylar Bell, along with John Nider and Raymello Murphy, are the receivers. The one tight end on the left side, Nader Churchy. Out of the shotgun will be Farrar, handing off to Rosa, running left side, cutting back, gets by Fortner, and then is met straight up by Andon Thomas, who buries him at the 30-yard line. That's a pickup of 6 on first down. It'll be 2nd down and 4. Army defensively, Cody Harris-Miller in the middle of that defensive line, along with Jack Latour and Jack Bowsam, Eric Ford, Thomas Fortner, the inside linebackers, Gavin Shields. The start on the outside, Weaver along with Mays, and then back deep Madison and Stephen Nadozi getting the start for Casey Larkin. 2nd down, we'll call it 4 for UConn. From the Huskies' 30-yard line between the hashes. Here's a backwards pass to Skylar Bell, a double pass. Bell looking downfield's got to throw it away. So our first trick play of the game, and the pass by Skylar Bell goes incomplete. Jack Bowsam had penetration in the backfield. So the first maybe surprise of this game, Cam Edwards, the 1,000-yard rusher, not playing this opening drive.
No, he's not out there, and that was interesting. They went with a gimmick play right there. You said backwards pass, and then the roll to the sideline to try and throw a pass. Army covered it really well. They had that play scouted out. So obviously they went with Rosa. Rosa's a guy that played against Army the last time they met in 22, and he had 111 yards in that game.
And we're starting to see the uniqueness of both teams on the same sideline. Army sending in a substitution, Stowers, for Latour, and also a late sub in here with Caleb Williams coming on here as 3rd down and 13. There was a 10-yard holding penalty on Connecticut. So we'll get the ref mic sorted out. Farrar working out of the shotgun. Looks left sideline for the play. Now back into the gun with Rosa to his left here on 3rd down and 13 for Connecticut. Farrar, receiver screen, batted in the air by Ford, and then is picked up by Raymello Murphy, who's smothered down at the 10-yard line. So another loss for UConn, and it's going to be 4th and a mile, and the Huskies are going to be forced to punt.
Yeah, they were a little jittery with that possession. Obviously, the hold set them back even farther, and then the ball got tipped up in the air. Good job by Murphy to gather it in. They're going to have to kick deep out of their end zone.
Connor Stutz, the punter, he's a senior from Seattle, averaging 45 yards a punt on 45 punts. Had a 67-yard punt against FAU a few weeks back. Back deep is Lloyd Benson. Here comes the boot. It's a floating kick, a short kick. Bounces at the 43-yard line. Takes a bit of a UConn roll across midfield into Army territory and finally touched up at the Black Knights' 44-yard line. Ends up being a 46-yard punt. No return. Army will begin 1st and 10 at its own 44-yard line for the Black Knights' first possession of this Fenway Bowl.
Good protection on the punter. He got it off, and Army was wise to let it bounce around a little bit. That's great field position to start out this game for Army.
So it'll be Cale Helms at the controls. Jake Rendina, the fullback. Appleton, Jeff Coates, Small, Generelli, and Williams are the linemen. Brady Anderson, one receiver. Samari Howard, one slot, who's near the middle of the formation. Handoff Rendina pushes up across the 45, out near the 49. So a gain of 5 on first down. Army going heavy to the inside, you would say. Pulaski on the field as well to begin the ball game for UConn defensively, and we'll be going through this almost on the fly with many of these players. And it was Taekwon King who made the tackle. King in that linebacking core along with Parham and Duamande. 2nd down for Army, and straight ahead is the fullback picking up a couple of yards across midfield. Will be a few yards short of the first down. Carrying the ball, Jake Rendina. So it'll be 3rd down coming up for the Black Knights. The rest of these starters for UConn missing 2 defensive linemen to opt out. Steph Wright and Vincent Carroll Jackson. Ben Smiley, Marquise Black, Matt Hoffman, Lee Mollett, Malachi McLean, the safeties. Devin Pringle and Cam Chadwick are the corners. So it's 3rd down for Army. 3rd down and 3 from the UConn 48-yard line. Helms under center. Rendina the fullback. 2 receivers out to the right side. Helms keeps it, runs right, cuts back, hits a wall, and then is driven back. Did not get to where he needed to go to. It will be 4th down, and a celebration off that tackle by Trent Jones who made the stop. It'll be 4th and short, and it looks like Army's going to leave the offense on the field.
Yeah, Army went power right that time. They flipped the tackle over to the right side. They also had Pulaski there, the tight end. They tried to just go off student body right, and there was just nothing there. As you said, 4th down, Rich.
4th down and 1 for Army. From the UConn 46-yard line, first Army possession, scoreless in the first quarter here in the Fenway Bowl. Hellips out of the gun is going to keep it, runs right, cuts back, and he's met. I don't think he got there, and he's rolled. No gain on the play. UConn takes over on downs, and the Huskies will take over near midfield, and making the big stop, Umar Diamande for the UConn Huskies.
And again, that was Army going for it on 4th down, where they've had a lot of success this year at 70%. But in the Navy game, they struggled in that 4th down situation, and they struggled early here in this one.
And we will take a break. 11 minutes, 25 seconds left in this opening quarter. Army and UConn scoreless here in the Fenway Bowl. You're listening to Black Knights College Football right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
The holidays are here, and Black Rifle Coffee Company is bringing the boldest new roasts to close out the year strong. Other companies are bringing peppermint fluff, and BRCC is bringing epic roasts like the high-caffeine Wake and the Neighbors, the smooth and strong Beyond Black, and the new seasonal Atomic Llama Roast. Brew a cup and have your taste buds explode with brown sugar and cinnamon flavor. Veteran-founded, American-roasted, this is America's coffee. Perfect for brewing yourself or gifting for others. Shop now at Walmart, Target, Kroger, or blackriflecoffee.com.
Ankle pain and limited mobility keeping you on the sidelines? Army West Point Athletics has joined forces with Stryker, an expert in foot and ankle surgical solutions. As one of the world's leading medical technology companies, Stryker offers innovative foot and ankle products that help you get back in the game and on your feet so you can keep doing what you love. Visit Stryker.com/Westpoint to learn more and find a specialized surgeon in your area so you can rediscover your freedom of movement.
You're listening to the Army Black Knights Football Radio Network on 92.5 FM in Kingston, 96.5 FM in Beacon, and 94.3 FM in Peekskill.
Army fans, your West Point PX is the place to go to score big with military exclusive pricing and tax-free savings. Stop by your West Point Exchange to find out more. And Army football brought to you by Black Rifle Coffee. Find at your local Walmart grocery store or at blackrifle.com. 11:25 left, opening quarter here at Fenway Park. Army and UConn scoreless in the Fenway Bowl, though the Huskies with an opportunity after stopping Army on 4th down. Stopped Kel Helms cold on back-to-back plays. They'll take over 1st and 10 at their own 46.
Well, they kind of thought it was going to be a ground and pound, and that's what they're showing so far with Rendina, a couple carries for 7, and Helms 2 carries just for 2, so they come up a yard short. Meanwhile, UConn, they came out throwing the ball a little bit, and they were stopped on a few downs, and then they had to punt it away. So a cold climate, you're going to get that type of game here, and breaks. You're going to need breaks in a game like this. Bounce of the ball. I mean, that deflected pass was up there for grabs for a second for UConn down here in the near end zone, but it was caught by the wide receiver Murphy, and they were able to keep possession and eventually punt it away.
An initial observation from UConn's opening possession. Cam Edwards, their 1,100-yard running back, their workhorse, who has 5 100-yard games, was not on the field. We were told he would play.
Yep.
We saw Victor Rosa that opening drive, and now to begin drive number 2, it's Mel Brown, who ran for 96 yards in the Fenway Bowl 1 year ago, was the leading rusher in that game as UConn defeated North Carolina. But Skylar Bell not on the field to begin this second drive. Shamar Porter takes his place with Nider and Murphy, the other receivers, as Kaysen Farrar works from the shotgun for UConn's second drive of the game. 1st and 10 for the Huskies from their own 46. Farrar runs right, trying to spread it out. Bowsam comes over and just bear hugs Farrar, who falls forward, picks up maybe a yard out to the 47-yard line. How about Jack Bowsam? One of the great stories from this 2025 season has been the maturity of this sophomore from Annapolis.
And he really made a name for himself in the Army-Navy game when you think about it. 4 tackles, he had a sack and a half, he had a fumble recovery, really standing out on this Army defense at just a sophomore.
And a future star for this Army defense and defensive coordinator Nate Woody. Gain of 1. It's 2nd and 9 for UConn from their own 47. Spreading out Army a little bit. 5 wide. Skylar Bell not one of those receivers. Farrar out of the gun, looking right. Throws pass batted by Ford, his second of the game, and then tags Farrar, who caught his own pass. So the first completion of the game for UConn. Farrar to Farrar, or second completion, but Farrar to Farrar.
The
for
ruling on
first
the
time
field
today.
gets an incomplete pass. Third down.
And it'll be 3rd down and 9 coming up for the Huskies from their own 47.
So officially, Farrar now is 2 for 3 and a minus 11 yards in passing. So that's quite the situation. Again, Ford saw that he was telegraphing the pass off to the right side. He got those big mitts up and knocked it down.
So it'll be 3rd down and 9 for UConn from its own 47. 3 receivers out to the left side, 1 right. Mel Brown, the back to the left of Farrar. Here's the handoff to Brown, running right 50-yard line. Cuts back and be near a first down. Actually slides to the ground. His knee went down. It appears a yard short of where he needed to get to. It'll be 4th down coming up for UConn. We'll see if the Huskies and their interim coach, Gordon Samus, decide to go for it. Colin Madison will get credited for the tackle as Brown slipped to the ground.
But it was really Justin Weaver that pushed the play to the sideline and kind of turned his shoulder in at the last second as well.
So now we see Cam Edwards in the game for the first time. UConn's stud running back, and maybe going to be used on need yards type of plays. This would qualify. 4th down and 2 from the Army 46 with 9:40 left in the opening quarter. Farrar hands off. Edwards cuts back and has some room near side, being chased by Justin Weaver inside the 25 down to the 20. Pulled down from behind near the Army 10-yard line. So Cam Edwards didn't start the game. His first snap converts a 4th and short into a lot more. That's a 34-yard gain, and UConn suddenly with a 1st and 10 at the Army 12.
His cutback ability showed right there.
And Farrar hands off. Edwards cuts back 10-yard line of the 5, and he dances in for the touchdown. So Cam Edwards on the field for 2 plays, 46 yards, and the first points of the game as UConn scores first here in the 2025 Fenway Bowl.
Well, we were wondering where he was. 1,132 yards coming in, and a guy that's probably going to go in the portal and make some money at the future destination. Boy, he had that big run to set up the touchdown run at 12 yards.
Touchdown number 15 on the season for the redshirt junior from Norwalk, coming out to attempt the extra point. Chris Freeman, 51 of 51 this year, 100 for 100 in his career, which includes some time at Indiana. Freshman, the grad student, and the snap ball is down. The kick is up, but it's through. Good job on the hold off of a low snap. Getting it down was Connor Stutz, the punter. So UConn takes the lead 7-0 here with 9:17 left in the opening quarter. And Army says, wow, what was that? Cam Edwards, back-to-back plays, and ends up being 46 yards and a touchdown. We'll have more from Fenway Park coming up in just a moment. You're listening to Black Knights College Football right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
This holiday season, experience the gift of luxury at the all-new GMC Bedford Hills, where new ownership means a fresh start and exceptional year-end offers. From the rugged Sierra to the refined Yukon, find the perfect GMC for wherever the road takes you this winter. Enjoy exclusive holiday incentives, first-class service, and a premium showroom experience. Make your move before the year ends and discover why more drivers are celebrating the season at GMC Bedford Hills. Visit them on Bedford Road or anytime at GMCBedfordHills.com.
If you are looking for insurance, auto, home, business, life, or disability, there's one name that should pop into your head immediately. Scott Markser State Farm. He's local. He's in Hyde Park. He grew up here. You'll get him or his licensed team. They'll make sure you're protected to the level you need to be. Trust is a big thing these days. I trust Scott Markser, and you should too. Call him now at 845-204-9444. That's 845-204-9444. Scott Markser State Farm.
You're listening to the Army Black Knights Football Radio Network on 92.5 FM in Kingston, 96.5 FM in Beacon, and 94.3 FM in Peekskill.
Army fans, Bud Light, proud sponsor of Army West Point Athletics. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. DirecTV, a proud partner of Army West Point Athletics. Stream the Black Knights satellite free on DirecTV.com today to learn more. And over land, at sea, and through the air, Rolls-Royce engines power our U.S. military to achieve mission success. Rolls-Royce, proud partner of Army West Point Athletics. The Army defense had a dominating start to this game. UConn going 3-and-out on its opening drive and was about to go 4-and-out, facing a 4th and 2 near midfield after UConn stopped Army on a 4th down. Enter Cam Edwards, UConn's leading rusher, seeing his first action of the game, 2 carries, 46 yards, and a touchdown.
And it is the MCOR scoring drive summary. The 4th down play that went for 34 by Edwards brought it down to the Army 12. Next play, he gets in from 12. 15th of the year, 27th of his UConn career on a 5-play, 54-yard drive that ate up 2:08. UConn takes the initial lead on the point after, 7-0 over Army. MCOR, proud partner of Army West Point Athletics.
So Army at least now will know they'll have Edwards to have to take into account. We saw Skylar Bell on the opening UConn drive. He didn't play on the second drive. So the question here on these 2 very prominent opt-ins for UConn in this bowl game was how much were they going to play in the game? So we've seen Bell for 1 drive, Edwards for 2 plays, but those 2 plays manifested themselves into a touchdown. Just getting back to the quarterback situation for UConn, Kaysen Farrar on the first 2 drives. We're expected to see wide receiver Terrence Smith take Wildcat snaps. He had 5 Wildcats for 35 yards against UAB back in early November. Tucker McDonald is the backup quarterback, though he's coming back from a broken hand. Just came back last week to practice. Chris Freeman set to kick it away. Back deep, Benson and Howard waiting at the Army 7-yard line and 10-yard line, respectively. So Army, after dominating the first 6 defensive plays, gets caught by Edwards. Here's the kickoff by Freeman. And another shorter kickoff, though no, it carries this one, and a fair catch called for and made by Benson. He kept going back and back to the goal line, made that fair catch. Army will come out 1st and 10 from its own 25-yard line.
So Army went very, very conservative on the first drive. See what they do here on the second drive. Rendina with just the 2 carries, Helms with 2 carries, and they're already in a 7-0 hole.
Ben Smiley, we haven't seen yet on the field for UConn. He's their big defensive lineman, a transfer from Virginia. Army, a receiver to either side, Pulaski and Anderson. Helms under center. Rendina is the deep back, and there's Howard in motion. Handoff, Rendina straight ahead. Steps through a defender across the 35, out near the 40, and dives forward. That's a 15-yard gain for Jake Rendina, right up the middle. Lee Mollett makes the tackle, and that hopefully can get this Army offense going. The big man, the fullback, Jake Rendina.
And that's his career long run right there. 15-yarder. Originally it was 12. He's had now 3 carries in the ballgame. That's about what he averages a game, but a steady feed to the fullback.
Rendina remains in the game as Helms checks into under center. Short in motion behind the formation. Here's a pitch, Noah Short, left side, cuts back 40-yard line, tiptoeing his way near the 44, where he's smothered down to the turf, and slow getting up on the play was Marquise Black for UConn. He made the tackle. He's a grad student transfer from Gardner-Webb. And it's a gain of 4. It'll be 2nd down and 6 for the Black Knights from their own 44.
And Noah Short, that's his 36th career start. His final game of his Army career, average touch, 9 yards. Either catching the ball or running it. Right there, he got the 4.
And Helms will go into the gun. Self and Short are the receivers. Short in motion. He takes the end around, looking for a block, looking to turn the corner. 45-yard line, cuts back, and then runs into a crowd. And credit Brian Parham. He's the tackle machine for UConn, staying with him and making the tackle after a gain of a couple. It'll be 3rd down and short coming up for Army.
Aiden Self was trying to get a block out there on the corner, couldn't sustain it, and that's been a problem this year. Rich, they haven't been able to sustain the blocks on the perimeter runs, especially for Short.
So it'll be 3rd down. We'll call it 3 for Army, with the ball spotted just outside the Black Knights' 47-yard line. 7:30 left in this opening quarter of the Fenway Bowl. UConn on top, 7-0. Helms out of the gun. He's going to keep it straight ahead, running into a crowd, pushing across the 50-yard line. Looks like he got to where he needed to get to and picks up the 1st down with the ball spotted at the UConn 49-yard line, brought down in a crowd. Antonio Harris among those making the stop. So Army moves the chains. That'll take us under 7 minutes left in this opening quarter, and the Army offense looks like it's finding a little bit of a groove here.
Yeah, looking for that rhythm. Brady Small did a good job starting in his 39th consecutive game at the center position. What a warrior he's been for them.
And God's Power, Wawihe makes his first appearance at fullback as Helms works out of the gun, and Wawihe to his right. And Short in motion, handoff straight ahead. Wawihe trying to burst through, breaks tackles inside the 45, and then muscles his way down to the 40-yard line. God's Power, Wawihe showing the power that led the Army coaches to move him from quarterback to fullback. Brian Parham took the final shot from Wasabi, and that's a solid gain of 9 on first down.
He was only averaging 2.8 a carry before that. He went power right off the right, made a little jab step as he got into the neutral zone off to his right. And as you said, powered to the second level, picking up good yards.
Second down, we'll call it 1 for Army with the ball just inside the UConn 40-yard line. 2 receivers right, and now short in motion. Wasabi, the fullback, play fake. Helms will throw. Lost it deep down the field. A wide open Noah Short at the 5-yard line, and he takes it in for the touchdown. Noah Short from Cal Helms. And Army is on the board here in the Fenway Bowl.
He got Devin Pringle in a one-on-one situation. He ran a quick out and then down the middle on the post, and a lofty throw by Helms hit him exactly where he had to in the hands.
Threw it straight up in the air, and Short, who had the beat on the defensive back, got right under it for the touchdown, and Army an extra point away from tying this one up. Army coming out of the split PAT formation, now checking into the conventional formation for Dawson Jones, 30 of 30 on the year. Owen Walter will snap it, and Cooper Allen will hold it. Cooper Allen playing his final collegiate game. Good snap, ball is down. The PAT attempt is up, and it's through right behind home plate here at Fenway Park. So Army ties the game 7-7. With that extra point, Amentum will donate $100 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Army grinds it out, then comes up with the big play to finish off the drive and tie up this Fenway Bowl 7-7 against UConn. We'll have more from Fenway Park coming up in just a moment. You're listening to Black Knights College Football right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
Without mission integration.
Eagle 7, this is command. Evacuation is in position.
It's all just noise. Lockheed Martin connects the best of commercial and defense technologies to build innovations into solutions. Seamless, solid, secure.
Roger that. Mission understood. Target in sight.
Lockheed Martin, ensuring those we serve always stay ahead of ready.
All right. It's a beautiful day for football here at the stadium, and we're just about ready for kickoff. Score 0-0. And suddenly, I'm in the mood for a Coke Zero Sugar. Real Coke taste, zero sugar. Now that's a winning combo. Yeah, crisp, refreshing. That hits the spot. When it comes to great taste, Coke Zero Sugar's always on the scoreboard. Coke Zero Sugar. Real Coke taste, zero sugar.
You're listening to the Army Black Knights Football Radio Network on 92.5 FM in Kingston, 96.5 FM in Beacon, and 94.3 FM in Peekskill.
Army fans, the Army A Club is dedicated to supporting the United States Military Academy's overall mission and the mission of Army West Point Athletics by generating financial support for the purpose of providing an extraordinary Division I athletic experience that develops leaders of character committed to the values of duty, honor, country. By supporting the Army A Club, you ensure that more than 1,000 cadet athletes have the opportunities and means necessary to accomplish all that they can in their relentless pursuit of excellence as scholars, athletes, and leaders. Visit ArmyAClub.com or call 845-938-2322. Army ties it up 7-7 with UConn here in the Fenway Bowl. Let's go down to the field and sideline reporter Tony Marino.
An energized Army sideline. Noah Short comes back to the sideline, goes over to his offensive teammates as well, celebrates with them, and then walked the entire length of the sideline and shook every hand there was to shake, including the entire defense, tries to get them fired up. There's energy down here. Tell you about that scoring. Here's Dean Darling.
All right, thanks, Tony. And it is the MCOR scoring summary. And again, Army pounding the ball early in the drive, and was Rendina and Wasabi. A couple nice runs off the right side. Army goes 6 plays, 75 yards, but most of it on the Helms 40-yard bomb down the middle to Noah Short, his second touchdown catch of the year. We remember that first one over there at Air Force a few weeks ago, and on the extra point, Army has tied it at 7-7. MCOR proud partner of Army West Point Athletics.
And Noah Short coming up on an important personal milestone in Army history. Dean Darling, he took a big bite out of what he needed on that touchdown catch.
He did, Rich. He needed 100 yards coming into the game, receiving, to be the only player in Army football history to have 1,000 yards career rushing and 1,000 yards receiving. And and now he's only 60 yards away from that milestone.
It becomes now a lot more realistic after a big play like that as Army will kick off to UConn. Good to see God's Power Wawehe getting a lot of run on that drive, and the best we've seen Wawehe this season as he converted from quarterback to fullback about midway through the year, and Cale Helms with the touchdown throw to short to wrap up the drive. Mel Brown back deep. Here comes the boot by Anderson Britton, and Brown comes up a short kickoff, fields it at the 7-yard line on the near numbers. Runs left to the 15, now cuts right, jumps back again to the 20-yard line, spun around and buried at the 21-yard line. Good coverage by the Army special teams. Baylor Newsome led the charge. So we'll see the UConn offense again, Dean Darling, and it's great. It's like it's like I'm in a gumball machine opening, and what are you going to see? What are the combinations of players you'll see coming out for the Huskies?
Yeah, the opt-ins or the opt-outs when you look at it. And so far we've seen some guys that obviously we thought Cam Edwards was going to start the game, and there he was at the running back position. He's out there again.
And we haven't seen Skylar Bell since the opening drive where he took what was a trick play, tried to throw a deep ball downfield, but no one was open. So a full house backfield, diamond formation for Farrar out of the gun with Edwards, the deep back on first down. Here's the handoff. Edwards cuts back 25-yard line, pulled out by the legs, somehow stays on his feet, finally smothered at the Army 30-70-yard line. So a 13-yard run, or check that, a 15-yard run on first down. Jabril Williams with the stop, and Cam Edwards. He's going to be a problem here today.
He has cutback ability. That's what it is, Rich. He's getting through the neutral zone area, and a lot of times he's knifing it off to his right-hand side, and people are whiffing at him. And he's hard to tackle, to bring down with one guy. And, again, we saw it in that big 34-yard run that set him up for the earlier touchdown.
Trips left, including the tight end Churchy. One receiver right now, Edwards, going out into the flat. Here's the running back screen to the receivers, and darting through defenders, 45-yard line of Army down to the 40, run out of bounds at the 35, but 2 penalty flags right where Edwards caught the football. Some obvious holding, and a big play downfield rightfully is going to be coming back.
Yeah, he had that
Doing
screen.
the run, holding, offense, number 6, 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul, first down.
They like to throw that screen, Rich. I was talking to Nate Woody about that. The initial tackler for Army was coming up to make the hit, and he just got tackled on the play, basically.
And it was Shields that got just turned around and thrown to the ground. And there's one thing when they call a penalty where you could say, well, did the holding really affect the play? Well, Raymello Murphy tackled Shields to the point where it sprung that screen pass. So it becomes a 1st and 20 for UConn from their own 27-yard line. Mel Brown back in the game at running back, a receiver to either side, 2 tight ends in the backfield, and Farrar bobbles the snap, hands off to Brown, running left, nowhere to go, and the hole was closed by Caleb Fortner, playing in his final collegiate game. He makes the stop at the 30-yard line. That's a gain of 3. It'll be 2nd down and 17.
And Nadir Churchy was the tight end on the right side, and he bolted right up the middle. He's supposed to be the lead blocker on that, but he was a little bit late getting to where he needed to do to get to the second level in the inside backer, and that closed up quickly. Army with a nice play.
2 receivers to either side. Brown in the backfield to the right of Farrar. This will be 2nd down and 17 for UConn from their own 30-yard line. Still no Skylar Bell since the first drive of this game. Farrar out of the gun, hands off to Brown, straight ahead, cuts back. It is stood up and taken down. Jaden Mays needed a little bit of help, but it was Mays who stood up his fellow number 7, Mel Brown, to make the tackle at the 37-yard line. That's a gain of 7. It'll bring up 3rd down and 10.
Well, Mel Brown didn't get a lot of carries. He was injured during the year, only 4 games this year. Average 8.8 yards a carry, but again, with him on the shelf and getting all the productivity from Cam Edwards, he wasn't needed as much.
And UConn lines up quickly, and then Farrar looks to the sideline for the play. He'll work out of the shotgun here on 3rd and 10. 3 receivers right and 1 left. Brown in the backfield. And Farrar rolls to his right, looking for someone downfield. Fires over the middle, and the pass caught at the 45-yard line of Army. Gives some ground, and then smothered at the 43 was the receiver, Shamar Porter. And he will be a bit short of the first down. Tried to get extra yards by giving some ground back. Lost a little bit. Jabril Williams makes the tackle. It'll be 4th and 3.
Yeah, Jabril Williams did a good job of getting some time out there. He's played a lot in the second half of the season, and now it looks like UConn's going to send out the special teams.
Connor Stutz comes up, had a 46-yard punt on UConn's first drive. Lloyd Benson waits back at his 12. 2:45 left in this opening quarter. Army and UConn tied up 7-7. Army leaving its regular defense on the field, and UConn's setup looks like it could be a fake, but Army's not going to fall for it. And now a penalty. UConn was trying to draw Army off sides, and it looks like it was UConn that stuttered.
Delay of game. Kicking team. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
Let's go down to the field and Tony Marino.
So UConn had put a receiver out there on the special teams. Jeff Bunkin spotted it right away and pulled one of his guys off and said Jaden Mays ran him out on the field, said we need to get a corner out there. We need a corner out there. And then during all of that, of course, it was a delay of game.
And now a more conventional punt formation for UConn as the punt comes from the UConn 39. Fair catch called for on the end-over-end kick made at the 21-yard line by Benson. That's a 40-yard kick, no return. Army will begin 1st and 10 from its own 21-yard line. And this Army offense, a little bit of momentum, Dean, a little mojo, confidence from that last drive.
You know what? You hit it right. They established a rhythm right there early in the drive before they hit the long touchdown pass. By the way, that touchdown pass of 40-yarder to short, the longest in Fen Bowl history, as Army sets history here in Beantown.
And Cale Helms looking pretty good after the last time he was on the field a couple of weeks ago against Navy. So a nice bounce back for Cale early in this game. 1st and 10 for Army from its own, we'll call it 22-yard line. Rendina, the fullback, fake handoff to him. Helms rolls right, and then a late pitch to short, and he stood up and then breaks a tackle to the 25 and then dives forward at the 27-yard line. It appeared Matt Hoffman had him stop for maybe a loss, was able to break through that. Lee Mollett ended up making the tackle, and a good gain on 1st down for Army. And the Black Knights will face a 2nd and 5 from their own 27.
On a negative side, that's been a little bit of a problem for Helms this year on the pitch. He hasn't done a great job leading his would-be receivers of the ball, but that time he finally got it out to Short. Short made something out of nothing.
2nd and 5 for Army from its own 27. Minute 45 left in the quarter. Hand off Rendina straight ahead. Big hole to the 35, out to the 40. Run down from behind at the 42-yard line of Army. Another 15-yard gain for Jake Rendina. His 2nd of this ball game. Parham makes the tackle, and Army's got it going again out near midfield.
Rich, doesn't he remind you of a wild horse out in a meadow? The way he runs with such authority, he doesn't really care. He sends a breeze through the secondary, and people, that's a cold day to be trying to take him down.
Dean, the metaphors, I miss them during the offseason. I miss your metaphors.
Thank you.
And we're coming down on 1 minute left in the opening quarter. 1st and 10 for Army from its own 43. Play fake. Helms is going to throw, looking, fires it off to the near side. It's caught by Short. Stutter step, pushed out of bounds at the 41. He might actually lose a yard on that play, and he was tackled by Cam Chadwick. UConn had the play covered downfield, and then Helms passed out to relief, and there wasn't much going on.
So he wanted to take the shot, Rich. Helms did. He looked deep, but that was a secondary receiver in Short. I like what he did right there. No force it. Obviously, he had that tough game, that late interception against Navy. Obviously, he learned from that. Cody Worley told me yesterday he's playing with a chip on his shoulder.
So 2nd down and 10. They'll give him no gain on the play. Helms out of the gun, trips left, and one man in motion. That's Samari Howard right to left. Helms is going to run it. Has a block across the 45 and then lunges forward, falls forward in a pile out near the 48-yard line. That's a 6-yard gain on 2nd down. It'll bring up 3rd down and 4, and that will bring us to the end of the opening quarter as Trent Jones makes the tackle. 15 minutes of football in the books here at the 2025 Fenway Bowl. Army 7, Connecticut 7. We will have the 2nd quarter action coming up for you in just a moment. You're listening to Black Knights College Football right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
Timeout.
Okay, number 22. 1st down.
Hey, Stan, you seem so calm and relaxed these days.
Yeah, it's because my commute to the city is so easy now that I take the Coach USA bus. I'm in the office 3 days a week, and Coach USA offers me the cheapest rates. 90 days to use my 40-trip commuter book, and lots of frequent, reliable buses at convenient times. Plus, they have a new app to buy tickets digitally. Free parking, the safest drivers, and they're environmentally friendly. And it's even good for weekend travel. My life couldn't be easier, and I'm saving money.
How do you think I could afford these seats?
My commute is killing me. Sitting in traffic, tolls, gas, parking. I can barely afford this hot dog.
Well, my friend, I think you should switch to Coach USA. Then you can buy these 50-yard line seats.
For schedules and fares, go to CoachUSA.com or download the Coach USA app to buy, store, and scan your tickets.
You're listening to the Army Black Knights Football Radio Network on 92.5 FM in Kingston, 96.5 FM in Beacon, and 94.3 FM in Peekskill.
1 quarter in the books at the Fenway Bowl, all even at 7. I'm Joe Beckerly with the Scoreboard Report brought to you by The Exchange. Full slate of bowl games today. Earlier today at the Military Bowl, it was East Carolina beating Pitt 23-17. In action right now in the fourth quarter. Penn State leading Clemson 15-3 in the Pinstripe Bowl down at Yankee Stadium. Other bowl games going on later today. The Pop-Tarts Bowl, Georgia Tech taking on BYU. At the Arizona Bowl, it will be Miami of Ohio and Fresno State. A little bit later this evening, an American Conference team, number 25 North Texas, will be battling San Diego State in the New Mexico Bowl. Later this evening, number 19 Virginia and Missouri at the Gator Bowl. And finally, to round out the slate of games today, it will be LSU and Houston at the Texas Bowl, that game at 9:15 Eastern. That's the bowl game score report brought to you by The Exchange. Back to Rich, Dean, and Tony.
And a beautiful crowd here at Fenway Park for this 2025 Fenway Bowl. Army and UConn tied up 7-7. We were on the lookout for Skylar Bell in this game. Bell made headlines a few weeks ago, becoming UConn's first ever consensus first-team All-American. Had nearly 1,300 receiving yards. He's a redshirt senior, a transfer from Wisconsin. He's going to be drafted. He'll have an NFL career, and he became then a headline a couple of weeks later, announcing that he wasn't going to sit out the Fenway Bowl and really encouraging his teammates to go play in it. Well, Bell did play in the Fenway Bowl. We saw him on the opening drive of the game for a few plays, tried that trick play throw downfield. Haven't seen him since. He's in a parka on the sideline, and it looks like his day and his UConn career has come to an end.
Number 2 in the nation in catches per game, 8.4. Number 2 in touchdown catches with 13. Number 2 in the nation in total receiving yards, 101 catches. I mean, that is magnificent production, and it's a guy that was a finalist for the Blitnikoff Award back here in 25. So obviously, I don't know if we're going to see him again. Maybe he's done with the park on, but whatever. Skylar Bell's got a future, and a kid out of the Bronx, New York.
So you got to feel good for him, and he kept his promise. Played in the game, was with his team for the whole trip. On the Army side of the ball on defense, Nate Woody using this as a true opportunity, get some young guys some run along that defensive line.
Yep. Then you look at Jake Rendina, a guy that only has had a few carries this year, 28 carries before today. He's already carried the ball a total of 4 times, 37 yards. His career high is 42 yards against Temple earlier this fall. So, and he looks really good running the football. I like the rhythm here of Army's offense over the last 2 series.
And I think Army neutralizing the UConn pass rush by running the ball inside, and then for them setting up a couple of pass plays. One has worked for a touchdown. So we begin the second quarter, 7-7 the score. It's a 3rd and 4 for Army from the Black Knights' 48-yard line. From the left hash, Helms under center, Rendina the deep back. Short in motion in front of the formation. Handoff Rendina, left side, powers through across the 50-yard line into UConn territory. He's got the first down as he's bullying, muscling his way down to the 45. That's a pickup of 7 on 3rd down and 4, and Army moves the chains.
Yeah, the key is to move the change. Long plays, long schedules. That's what they need to do. Even though they hit on a home run ball, they would love to churn the clock here in the second quarter and get production at the end of it.
So Army picks up a first down. God's Power, Wawihe back in the game at fullback. And Helms checks into the shotgun, a receiver to either side. Aiden Self left and Noah Short right. Wawihe to the right of Helms. Claps his hands, takes the snap. Helms runs behind Wawihe to the 45-yard line in a crowd, then pushback. We'll see where forward progress gets him. It appears down near the 42-yard line of UConn. That's a gain of 3 on first down. It'll be 2nd and 7. Marquise Black made the tackle.
So Helms came into today's game, and he only needed 22 yards to go over 1,200 yards. this year. That's a really big number for him. He's carried the ball a lot this season. Witness the Kansas State game when he took it for a school record 41 times. But a guy that's got other assets back there, and he's getting the ball to them for the most part.
2nd down and 8 for Army from the UConn 43-yard line. Army looking to churn out this drive out of the shotgun. Helm steps up, is going to run with it down to the 40-yard line and is trying to push his way backwards, pushing inside the 40 down to the 37. That'll be a couple of yards short of the first down. It'll be 3rd and 2 coming up, making the tackle for UConn, Matt Hoffman.
That just kind of opened up. We're in the end zone with the call, right, Rich? And you saw the C's just open up, and he saw it as well, and he sputtered into that second level area, turned his back, as you said, trying to back his way into more yards.
3rd down and 2. Helms will work out of the shotgun. This drive going exactly the way Army wants it. Helms hands off Rendina, tried to leap, fumble the football. It's loose. UConn recovers. It was Hoffman who jumped on it at the UConn 40-yard line. So our first turnover of the game, Rendina tried to go up top to pick up the short yardage, had it pop loose, and Matt Hoffman recovers, and UConn's got the ball back with 12:55 left in this second quarter.
Only the 11th offensive turnover of the year on Army, and Rendina had people low on him, and the ball was in his right arm, and he got it popped from the elbow, and the ball comes free to UConn.
Right now, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification across the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
920 WGHQ Kingston, 1260 WBNR Beacon, and 1420 WLNA Peekskill. This is the Army Black Knights Football Radio Network on 92.5 FM in Kingston, 96.5 FM in Beacon, and 94.3 FM in Peekskill.
Army turns it over to UConn. The Huskies take over 1st and 10 from their own 39-yard line when we come back. 12:55 left, second quarter here in Boston. Army 7, UConn 7 in the Fenway Bowl. You're listening to Black Knights College Football right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
If you think a football game can't make you feel proud to be a citizen, think again and get your family to a home game at West Point. Producing leaders for the world's finest Army, West Point reminds us that we're all one team when push comes to shove. Doesn't matter who sits to your left or your right, and we the people are a force for good. With the nation about to celebrate its 250th year, spend an autumn day at West Point. Okay, they do fire a cannon when they score, but hey, it's the Army. And Rutberg Breslow Injury Law is proud to sponsor Army football.
It's just something you were born with. A need to get things right, to work hard, get dirty, and come out on top. And that's exactly what Bobcat equipment is designed to do. Fully optioned compact loaders make a bold impression on the job site and come loaded with features that improve your bottom line. Or for your biggest challenges, check out Bobcat's large excavators. Everything you expect from a Bobcat excavator, only more of it. No excuses, just pushing limits and doing it the right way or not at all. Get the Summit Bobcat in Walden or Poughkeepsie or hit summitbobcat.com.
You're listening to the Army Black Knights Football Radio Network on 92.5 FM in Kingston, 96.5 FM in Beacon, and 94.3 FM in Peekskill.
Rich DeMarco, Dean Darling, Joe Beckerly, and Tony Marino back at Fenway Park, and it's UConn with a bit of momentum, forcing the first turnover of the game. The Jake Rendina fumble recovered by Matt Hoffman. UConn takes over 1st and 10 at its own 39-yard line in a 7-7 game with 12:55 left in this second quarter from Fenway Park.
Damon Brinson on the forced fumble, redshirt sophomore. Again, got his helmet or got an arm right in on the right arm at that time of the carrier, Rendina. And Army again turns it over. That's Rendina's first fumble of his career, and he was having such a good first half here. Now Army has to turn it around defensively.
Well, it's interesting, and we're tracking the opt-outs. Of course, Skylar Bell looks like his day is over after playing the opening drive. He's the consensus All-American wide receiver. But Cam Edwards, the 1,100-yard running back, we saw him for 2 plays on UConn's second drive. He picked up 46 yards and a touchdown. Really, that's been UConn's only offense in this game. And, you look at, if that continues, Army just can't give UConn opportunities, especially if they're going to struggle moving the football. That's why UConn taking over here as Army had a nice little rhythm going on this drive. Crucial for the Huskies. Kaysen Farrar got the starting quarterback with Joe Fignano opting out. Nick Evers not with the program. Tucker McDonald, the redshirt sophomore, listed as the backup. And Cam Edwards now back in the game. So every play Cam Edwards has been on the field, he's gotten a carry. Army try to make a sub, and both these teams on the same sideline, the far sideline. So Baylor Newsome coming in for Andon Thomas, perhaps to combat Edwards being in the backfield. Farrar out of the shotgun. He rolls to his right and is going to run with it. It's got some blockers, cuts back, and goes down on a pile near around the 42, 43-yard line. Gain of 3 or 4 on the play. Newsome, who was in the ball game, makes the tackle. So maybe that's how Nate Woody's going to combat Edwards in the game, going with a little more speed maybe at that linebacking spot as Andon Thomas comes back in.
Andon Thomas they had to make an adjustment on his equipment. That's the reason he went out, and there was a trainer right there to meet him and help him out.
So Javon Smith comes in along the defensive line for Army, along with Latour and Harris Miller, as Bowsam comes out of the game. So Army cycling some players along the defensive line. It's 2nd down and 7. Here's Farrar going to run with it. Cuts back. Nice run. 45-yard line. It's got the first down, far sideline of the 50. And then a run down from behind by Latour and Fortner across midfield at the Army 49. So Kason Farrar, his nicest run of the game, picks up a first down for UConn in Army territory.
Yeah, he's a product of Virginia Beach, Virginia, only playing in his 2nd game of his true freshman season. He played against Florida International earlier. He got recruited by Buffalo, East Carolina, Charlotte, Marshall, and Liberty, but decided to come here to the Northeast to UConn, and they say he's got the best legs out of the crew that they got on their depth chart at quarterback.
Pistol formation with Edwards, the D-back. Army making a change at nose tackle. A run comes to the left side. Edwards sees the hole close up, then is pushed back after picking up a couple of yards in forward progress. Sean Donovan made the tackle, and he was in there for nose tackle. Cody Harris Miller on the play. So we've seen Donovan, seen Nick Bucky's get some run here in this first half for Army as we go under 11 minutes left in the second quarter. Army and UConn tied up 7-7 in the Fenway Bowl. Well, 2nd and 10.
Sorry, Rich. You look at Donovan. He's a kid out of Danbury, Connecticut, right? He's 6'1". He was hurt mid-season. 5 tackles on the year before now. He had a good game against Tulane, a career-high 3. And he's got a brother, DJ, who attends the Naval Academy. That's got to be interesting.
So to the right of Farrar is Edwards. 2 receivers bunched right, 1 left here on 2nd down and 10 from the Army 49. Direct snap to Farrar, play fake. He's going to throw, now steps up in the pocket. Oh, taken down by the legs. Beautiful play by Gavin Shields coming up to make the stop. Farrar thought he had a huge lane to run. Ends up stumbling forward, picking up maybe a yard.
Army wasn't even sure that Shields was going to be able to play. He got cleared as of yesterday to play in this game, and he's had a really good year at the Apache spot. And you're right, that was going to be big yards because the quarterback was ready to scamper into a big hole.
And Army playing without Casey Larkin out of this game with an injury. They give no gain on the play to Farrar, so it's 3rd down and 10 for UConn from the Army 49. Farrar straight back to throw out of the gun. Steps up. Oh, taken down from behind. What a job on the blind side blitz, meandering his way around. It was Caleb Fortner who got to Farrar. Looks like the ball might have come loose. All the players in a crowd and now being separated, but a huge sack on 3rd down. Army is going to get the ball back on a punt.
I saw Fortner on the elevator today. He goes, "How you doing, sir?" I said, "Well, how about a win today?" He goes, "Yes, sir." And boy, that was Andon Thomas came out of nowhere. He got him high, and then the finish by Fortner. There's your 2 inside backers combining on the blitz.
So it's 4th down and 16, and coming on is Stutz to punt. Waiting back is Lloyd Benson at his 20-yard line. And here's the boot by Stutz. It's a spiraling kick, a good kick, sending Benson back to his 13-yard line. Going to try and run it out, and is taken down by the legs and picks up 2 yards on the return to the 15-yard line. Or check that, the 10. From the 8 to the 10 is where he returned it. And that is where Army will take over. That was a 49-yard punt, a 2-yard return. 1st and 10 for the Black Knights from their own 10 when we come back. 9:01 left in this second quarter. 2025 Fenway Bowl, Army 7, UConn 7. You're listening to Black Knights College Football right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, college football fans, I know you'd do anything for a win on game day and an ice-cold Bud Light. Because whether you're tailgating in the parking lot or parked on the couch, sitting on your lucky stool at the bar, or standing in the fan section all game long, the clean, crisp taste of Bud Light turns a win into a win-win. And there's nothing easier to enjoy than that. Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
What exactly does MCOR do? For healthcare facilities, we help keep patients and staff safe and comfortable. For data centers, we help the digital economy flow more reliably. For office buildings, we help make work environments secure, efficient, and compliant. In other words, for businesses and industries of every type, at MCOR, we build, power, service, and protect.
You're listening to the Army Black Knights Football Radio Network on 92.5 FM in Kingston, 96.5 FM in Beacon, and 94.3 FM in Peekskill.
Tony Marino back with you. Fenway Park, Boston, Massachusetts. It is the Fenway Bowl. Army and UConn tied at 7. Army with the ball at their own 10-yard line in a few moments. I'll tell you, my first trip here to the Fenway Bowl, as a lot of you it is, I'm certainly guys up in the booth as well, and I will tell you this. I am as impressed as you can be on such a cold day. We're talking temperatures in the low 20s with the crowd that showed out here today. I'm just outside the Red Sox dugout, guys, and all of behind me is filled. I can't find an empty seat behind me, and as I look all the way, pretty much from the pesky pole wrapped around up towards left field is where you start seeing it just past third base where there's some seats available on the lower level. It's pretty impressive. And by the way, the temperature is going to stay and only drop at this point. There's a little bit of sun left out towards right center field, and that's pretty much it. But this is an impressive crowd, guys, that showed up here today for the Fenway Bowl.
And Tony, the fun is not going to end after this game at Fenway Park. Riley Green, the country singer, is going to perform a post-game concert for those who still are able to move after this biting cold at today's Fenway Bowl. And Army was able to erase the mistake of the fumble, though they give up about 50 yards. They hold. UConn forced the punt. Black Knights will take over 1st and 10 at their own 10-yard line.
You know, it was key there, Rich. They dodged the bullet on the turnover, and they forced the punt. Now, obviously, they're deep in their own end to try and wedge it out. But again, they survived the Rendina fumble out near midfield, and here they are back offensively again.
And we see Carson Smith for the first time since the UTSA game. He comes in at fullback, the junior. And I'll tell you, Army, before that turnover, they were just churning what you want to see on a drive. 1st and 10 for Army from its own 10-yard line. It's one of the UConn offensive linemen, Brady Wayburn, is making his way to the locker room. That could be something to watch. 1st and 10 for Army. Pitch right. This is Noah Short looking to turn the corner. Nowhere to go, and it's pile driven into the turf by Cam Chadwick at the 9-yard line. That's a loss of 1. It'll be 2nd down and 11. Chadwick, the New Jersey native, making the stop.
Yeah, he's a good, nice player for them. We highlighted him in the scouting report. He came up. He got him low, short, around the mid-waist area, pulled him down.
And they give him no gain on the play. It'll be 2nd down and 10. The ball spotted still right at that 10-yard line. Helms out of the pistol. Now we'll go under center with his 2 slots, Howard and Short, and Carson Smith, the deep back. Helms waiting, sends Short in motion on 2nd and 10. Here's a reverse pivot. Helms trying to navigate his way, nowhere to go. It is taken down. UConn had that sniffed out. The pursuit from that side. Mollett made the tackle. It'll be 3rd down and long.
That was a counter tray where they pulled the entire left side of the line and tried to be the lead blocker off to the right side, but closed quickly by the UConn defense.
And Mollett's played a good game. He's been a good spy against this Army offense here. It'll be 3rd down and 8 for the Black Knights. From their own 12, 7:45 left in the second quarter. We're tied up 7 and 7 here in the Fenway Bowl. 2 receivers right. Helms out of the gun. Straight back to throw. Rolls right. Is he going to run with it? He will. Cuts back 20-yard line. He's got the 1st down and dives forward near the 24. Ends up picking up 12 yards. A matter-of-fact scramble by Cale Helms. Devin Pringle, who was spying him, ended up making the tackle, and Army able to move the chains.
Well, it was Brady Anderson in a real deep out, and he picked up 2 coverages there from the safety in the corner, and then that just gave enough area for Helms to tuck it and run it and get the first down.
So 1st and 10 for Army, a bit more breathing room out at the 24-yard line, coming down on 7 minutes left in the second quarter, tied up 7-7. Smith, the deep back. Alawale in the game for the first time as receiver right. Handoff it was a fake handoff and actually fumbled on the mesh between Helms and Smith, recovered by Helms, and he goes down right at the line of scrimmage. It'll be 2nd and 10. So this ball security, Jeff Monken cannot be happy here in this opening half.
Now they fumbled it once. They almost fumbled it twice. Almost lost possession of the fumble. And again, fresh into the game is Smith. And again, the mesh just not completed between the quarterback and the fullback.
2nd down and 10 as Helms goes to the gun. A receiver to either side. Carson Smith to his right. Helms sends short in motion left to right. And a fake end around. Helms going to run it. Runs it right and is thrown down to the turf. Diamande made the tackle at the 27-yard line. That's a gain of a few. It'll be 3rd down and 7. Under 6 minutes left in this second quarter.
Yeah, Diamande, he just came off that backer spot, wrapped him up, just threw him down like a ragdoll. And here's Helms now faced with another third situation.
3rd and long. 3rd and 7 for Army from its own 27-yard line. Anderson, one receiver right. Short out to the left side. Smith to the left of Helms. Pulaski in the left slot. Helms waiting, claps his hands, has the ball, receiver screen. This is Noah Short. Left side has a block, 30-yard line, out to the 35. He's got the first down, and then taken down at the Army 38-yard line. Great jitterbug by Noah Short. Mollett ended up making the tackle, and Army converts on the 3rd and 7 with a fresh set of downs.
Brady Anderson comes up hobbling, one of the wide receivers. They're going to get him out of the lineup right now. He was really limping badly. He may have turned an ankle going down the field.
Very tight formation for Army here on 1st down. Short goes in motion. Helms going to run at that right side behind Rendina, who's back in. Picks up a couple across the 40. Out near the 41, 42-yard line. He'll get 4 on 1st down. It'll be 2nd down and 6. The UConn tackle made by Curvins. Shoot.
You look at Noah Short today. They've gotten the ball into his hands a total of 8 times. 5 via the rush, 3 on the catches. He has all of Army's catches for 51 yards.
2nd and 6 for Army from its own 42, 4:30 left in the first half. Would love to see Army take this drive on a score right into halftime. Rendina, the deep back. Short goes in motion behind the formation. Hand off Rendina. Straight ahead across the 45. Out near the 50. He's got the first down for Army as he crosses midfield down at the UConn 49-yard line. So again, Rendina shakes off the fumble. He's back in the game. Shoot makes the tackle again, but Army able to pick up another first down.
He was squeezing the air out of that ball. He had it so tight after that fumble on his original carry, and he sat out a couple, plays. Now he's back in, as you said, and looks good right off the gap. Like he's just jumping into the gap and getting into the second level.
Both teams with 3 timeouts, down to 3:50 left in this opening half. Army and UConn tied up 7-7. 1st and 10 for Army at the Connecticut 49. Handoff Rendina. A draw, tripped up at the 45 and then loses his footing down around the 43-yard line. That's a 6-yard gain on 1st down. Jones makes the tackle. It'll be 2nd down and 4.
So they pull the left guard, Will Jeffcoat, and they lead him into the right hole where Rendina follows. Got to give credit, Rich, this year to Jeffcoat, Football Writers Association of America, 2nd team All-America choice. What a year he's had. Stepped into a big role this year, and he has performed.
So this drive for Army started at the Black Knights 10-yard line. Now in UConn territory. Handoff straight ahead. God's power. Wawie. He's got a hole. Down to the 25. Down to the 20. And he will head to the end zone. GP for his first career TD. Army back in the lead here in the Fenway Bowl. God's power. Wawie, who made the transition to fullback from quarterback. He found an opening, and it was smooth sailing for the big fullback. He takes it in from 43 yards for his first career touchdown.
The safeties got caught up. They were trying to bottle up on the run. He did a good job being deliberate with the football. He just picked his spot, and then he accelerated when he saw the gap. And, boy, he went long distance on that one.
So Army comes on for the extra point. And you talk about bowl games and the value of them. God's Power, Wasabi really staking his claim to the future of the Army fullback position. Dawson Jones comes on to attempt the extra point. Cooper Allen has it, puts it down from Owen Walter. The extra point attempt is up, and it's through. With that extra point, Amentum will donate $100 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. A marathon 90-yard drive finished off with a big play and a touchdown. Army back in the lead, 14-7 over UConn here in the Fenway Bowl with 3:04 left in this second quarter. We'll have more coming up in just a moment right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
When it comes to personal injury law, nothing is more important than consistency. Consistently getting clients the results they deserve and consistently being recognized for your professional ability. Hi, this is Jeff Feldman of Feldman, Kleidman, Collins & Sape. FKCS has been recognized by Best Lawyers as a best law firm every year since 2010, including this year. If you've been injured in an accident, call 845-897-5199 for a free consultation or visit us at fkcs.law.
If you're looking for a job that makes a real difference, connect with Abilities First. They're hiring in Dutchess and Orange County. Abilities First supports individuals with special needs, from preschoolers to adults, helping them thrive all the way. If you're compassionate, patient, and love helping others, they want to meet you. Even if you have no experience, it's not a problem. They have entry-level positions with real pathways to grow into leadership. At Abilities First, inclusion isn't just a goal, it's their mission. Make your work meaningful. Apply today online at abilitiesfirstny.org. Abilities First, where ability meets opportunity. You're listening to the Army Black Knights Football Radio Network on 92.5 FM in Kingston, 96.5 FM in Beacon, and 94.3 FM in Peekskill.
Army fans, build, power, service, protect. Those are the things that describe EMCOR, a nationwide leader in all things infrastructure, from data centers to hospitals, airports to manufacturing plants. EMCOR, build, power, service, protect. Army football brought to you by FW Webb, where the pros go for plumbing, heating, HVAC, refrigeration, pipes, valves, fittings, and more. Visit fwweb.com for a location near you. And Army West Point Athletics brought to you by the General Motors Military Appreciation Program. Get a special offer on Chevrolet vehicles at gmmilitaryappreciation.com. God's Power, Wasabi, his first career touchdown. Army in the lead, 14-7 over UConn in the 2025 Fenway Bowl.
And what's impressive about that is we bring you the EMCOR scoring drive summary. That's a 10-play, 90-yard drive. It started at their own 10-yard line, and they go. And another couple nice passes, too, by Helms. He got a good one off to short, and then the hard running by Radina, who's got a new career high with 57 yards. But it was God's Power, Wasabi, 43 yards right up the middle. As Rich said, for his first career touchdown on the extra point, Army has taken the lead, 14-7. EMCOR, proud partner of Army West Point Athletics.
And both teams with 3 timeouts. UConn will get the ball back here. 3:04 left until halftime. One thing we saw during the Army drive, Dean Darling, for the UConn offense, Brady Wayburn, the starting right guard, he made his way into the visitors' dugout, the third base dugout, the UConn locker room, with an apparent injury. So the opt-outs, the 2 tackles, Morawski and Karsten Cassidy, that leaves Tavares Walker. He's a sophomore from Baltimore. He's backing up all of the tackle and guard positions. So we should expect to see him on what really is a patchwork offensive line for Gordon Samus. Here is the kickoff from Anderson Britton, and it floats down to Mel Brown, takes a bounce at the 10-yard line, and then fielded on a hop by Brown at the 5, running right, cuts back, and then taken down by the Army special teams near the 18-yard line. It was Noah Nixon who had the first hand on Brown, and then tackled in a crowd. Jabril Williams was there to help make the stop, along with Jackson Hammond. So UConn will begin 1st and 10 at its own 19-yard line, and really the only offense we've seen from UConn today has been from Cam Edwards on those couple of carries that led the Huskies to their only score of the game.
And again, without their quarterback, Figiano, who decided to opt out and get ready for the NFL draft. He'll also play an East-West Shrine game All-Star game. But again, they were going really with some young quarterbacks in this game. One particular, McDonald hasn't played as of yet.
And Darren McLaughlin, we have a backup center in the game for UConn as well. Cam Edwards is the deep back in the pistol. Hand off to Edwards, and then it's Fortner who took him on, broke through that. Shields, or I should say Larkin, ended up making the tackle, jumping on him from behind at the 26-yard line. So a good first down run for Cam Edwards. He picks up 7. It'll be 2nd down and 3 with the clock running 2:40 left till halftime.
And again, he comes in 19th in the nation in rushing, tied for 16 in rushing touchdown. Already had one here in this one in the ball game, and 21st in the nation. He averages 94 yards a carry, a game.
Pistol formation on 2nd down. Handoff Edwards running left. Hammond's trying to string him out. Got a hand on him, and Edwards broke through it. Then run out of bounds by Andon Thomas across the 35-yard line at the 38. A 13-yard gain by Cam Edwards. And we keep saying it, Dean. That's been all of UConn's offense in this opening half.
He's doing a lot of this himself. You mentioned patchwork offensive line, right? And he's making some really good, swift moves when he gets into that secondary. And Jackson Hammond had a great shot at him, right? Just couldn't pull him down.
They have Ty Chan. He's the transfer from Notre Dame. He can play right guard and right tackle. He's at guard right now. The backup center is at right guard, and the play blown dead as a timeout is called.
This is the 2-minute
timeout. With 2 minutes left in the second quarter. Fenway Bowl 2025, Army 14, UConn 7. We'll have more coming up in just a moment, right here from the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
Life is full of adventures.
Do you take this man to be your husband?
I do. Welcome home.
We did it. He has your eyes.
He's perfect.
Make the most of them all with PenFed checking and savings accounts. Learn more at PenFed.org. Federally insured by NCAA. To receive any advertised product, you must become a member of PenFed Credit Union.
All right. It's a beautiful day for football here at the stadium, and we're just about ready for kickoff. Score 0-0. And suddenly, I'm in the mood for a Coke Zero Sugar. Real Coke taste, zero sugar. Now that's a winning combo. Yeah, crisp, refreshing. That hits the spot. When it comes to great taste, Coke Zero Sugar's always on the scoreboard. Coke Zero Sugar. Real Coke taste, zero sugar.
You're listening to the Army Black Knights Football Radio Network on 92.5 FM in Kingston, 96.5 FM in Beacon, and 94.3 FM in Peekskill.
Helping leaders of the nation's most important organizations understand complex data ecosystems and achieve intangible results. It Cadre, your vision, our purpose. Build, power, service, protect. Those are the things that describe EMCOR, a nationwide leader in all things infrastructure, from data centers to hospitals, airports, to manufacturing plants. EMCOR, build, power, service, protect. And Army football brought to you by West Point Family at MWR. FMWR offers horseboarding, golfing, skiing, catering, camping, and many more activities and programs. Visit westpoint.armymwr.com for more information. Rich DeMarco, Dean Darling, Joe Beckerly, and Tony Marino back at Fenway Park, the 2025 Fenway Bowl. 2 minutes left till halftime. Army on top at UConn 14-7. The Huskies with a 1st and 10 at their own 38 with Cam Edwards back in the game and really picking up all the offensive yardage.
Yeah, Cam Edwards is the real deal. Still has a year of eligibility left, from Norwalk, Connecticut. And he is a guy, they say Nebraska has really been after him a little bit. And obviously they would love to get his services, but this is a guy with 8 career 100-yard games. He's had a tremendous redshirt junior year here. And a guy that's 5th all-time in touchdowns scored with 30. And, well, he had one today. He's got their only score at 31.
And over 1,200 yards on the season. So Cam Edwards, big-time player for this UConn team, and showing it as the Huskies find themselves down 14-7. This could be a bit worse, Dean, when you look at the score. Army on top by 7. Black Knights have turned it over. They've been stopped on downs.
Yeah, really 2 turnovers, right? Yeah. The stop on downs and then the fumble.
So UConn comes out of the timeout, both teams with 3 timeouts remaining. Army won the coin toss and deferred, so they'll receive the second half kickoff. So even more important for UConn to try and get in the end zone here before halftime. Mel Brown back in the game at running back. He's to the right of Kaysen Farrar, who's gone the distance at quarterback for UConn. Out of the shotgun, Nader in motion behind the formation. Handoff Brown, left side, turns the corner, pushed out by Andon Thomas at the 44-yard line. So that's a 6-yard gain on first down. Stops the clock. It'll be 2nd down and 4 for the Huskies from their own 44.
So Mel Brown missing the 8 games I mentioned earlier with injury. Had a season high against Syracuse with 72. And then in their last game against Florida Atlantic, he had 70 yards on 10 carries and a touchdown. This is a team that hasn't played in 35 days, Rich, where Army played 2 weeks ago today.
Farrar out of the gun with Brown to his right here on 2nd and 4. Handoff to Brown straight ahead, able to squeeze out a couple of yards across the 45. Fumble. Army signaling they have it, and it appears they do. Jackson Hammond comes out of the pack with it down the far sideline of the 20-yard line. Looked like his knee was down, but Army, it appears, has turned over UConn near midfield.
Good to get a chance to look at the replay up here.
The ruling on the field is that forward progress is stopped prior to the ball coming loose. First down.
So forward progress, if I'm not mistaken, cannot be reviewed. So I don't think there's any chance for Army to have that play looked at, right? Because forward progress is a judgment call. Let's go down to Tony.
The Army sideline saw the replay up on the board, and they started screaming. But, Rich, I think you're right. Forward progress is not reviewable.
So it's a first down for UConn. 1st and 10 at the Army 49. Here's a handoff right side. Cam Edwards in a crowd. Shields got a hand on him. Breaks that. Then it's Fortner who's got the tackle along with Nadozi, riding him out of bounds at the Army 45-yard line.
So Nadozi gets the start with Larkin out, and I feel so bad for Casey Larkin. What a year he's had. This would have been his final game. It turns out his final game was against Navy. But Nadozi's got ample time in there because of injuries at different positions in the secondary.
And 2nd and 4, here's a handoff the right side. It's Edwards. He cuts back. He's got the first down inside the 40-yard line down to the 39. So UConn putting something together here in the closing minutes of the first half. Noah Nixon made the tackle. Minute 12 left. Clock stopped. UConn still with 3 timeouts. Now the clock rewinds after the ball is spotted. Farrar out of the pistol. Hands off to Edwards. Right side. Trying to break through. Thomas ends up taking him down. Carried him down. Inside the 35. Down at the 32. Clock running down to 55 seconds. 54. UConn in no real hurry here. I don't know if they're just trying to set up for a field goal here or want to try and put the ball in the end zone. Now a timeout is called, and they actually...
First charge timeout of the half.
50 seconds on the clock.
UConn. 30-second timeout. Game clock operator, please put the game clock at 57 seconds. 57 seconds on the game clock.
So not only did Army miss out on what could have been a turnover, but now UConn is able to take advantage here. And a 2nd and 4 from the Army 33. Chris Freeman.
Thank you.
22 of 25 on field goals this season. 10 of 12 from 40-plus. He had a 50-yard field goal against UAB. He had a 44-yard field goal to win the game in the closing seconds against Buffalo.
Yeah, he's been on a roll, too. At one point this season, he had hit 12 in a row. And he's had a streak going here now of 6 in a row entering play today. But you would think they would want to take a shot, Rich, to try and get the game even.
So they reset it. It's 2nd and 3 now for UConn from the Army 32. 2 receivers out to the left side, 1 right. Edwards in the backfield. He's the left of Kaysen Farrar. Here's a receiver screen coming near side, cutting back. Thomas got there to help take him down along with Gavin Shields. No gain on the play as that pass was caught by Raymello Murphy.
Well, credit goes to Gavin Shields. He just stood up the play that allowed Thomas to come from the backside.
And 3rd down and 3. The run to Cam Edwards running left, and it's Latour and Harris Miller combining on the stop down at the 31-yard line. Did not get to where he needed to for a first down. Now it'll be 4th down for UConn with 25 seconds left in the half.
I think they're going to run the clock down and then maybe set up for the field goal attempt.
So That's exactly what they're doing. Looking to the sideline, waiting. Gordon Samus, the interim head coach for UConn. He'll be on a plane probably tomorrow to Fort Worth, Texas, to begin his career as the offensive coordinator at TCU. He calls the timeout with 4 seconds left in the half, and they'll summon Chris Freeman, the graduate.
Second charge timeout of the half. UConn. 30 seconds in length.
The graduate student, Chris Freeman, the transfer from Indiana, to attempt what will be right around a 49-yard field goal.
And you look at his background. He was at Indiana from 20 through 23, so cancels out the COVID season. He gets a free year there. And one time in high school, he was a soccer player, Rich. He actually joined the Indiana squad as a walk-on. He had a 52-yard field goal, crossing over from soccer to football on his high school team.
It's so interesting with all these transfers. So he played at Indiana with Michael Penix before Penix transferred to Washington, led them to the national championship game, of course, now at the Atlanta Falcons in the NFL. How about Indiana this year? Right, the only undefeated team in the country. They'll be in the Rose Bowl on January 1st. I'll tell you, the college football playoff quarterfinals, those are some really good matchups.
Yeah, there are. And I'm pulling for Indiana. That's a great story. Great story.
One of the great stories. This will be from the right hash. It'll be 49 yards. His season long is 50 against UAB. This will be from the left hash, so an angle to the right. The holder for this game, Connor Stutz. Zach Chrisinet is the long snapper. From 49 yards, Chris Freeman. High snap. Ball is down. The kick is up, and that kick has the distance, and it's good. He nailed it. Chris Freeman from 49 yards out, and the teams head into the locker room with UConn cutting the Army lead down to 4. Halftime of the 2025 Fenway Bowl. It's Army 14 and UConn 10.
Hey, he got it all leg, boy. He came right into our end zone. You could see it had the distance and split the uprights. That's a big hit right there. His 23rd of the year.
As Army won the coin toss, they'll receive the second half kickoff, so it gives UConn a little bit of momentum, knowing that they won't see the football when they come back out to resume this game. Army, despite a turnover, despite being stopped on a fourth down, has the lead at halftime of this Fenway Bowl over UConn by the score of 14-10. Tony Marino is waiting to get into position with Army head coach Jeff Monken to talk about the first half. Army saw some good things. We also saw some things that have hurt this Army team this year. Turning the ball over and the inability to come up with a short yardage play when needed. The Army defense has played terrific in this first half, really in all plays not involving Cam Edwards. Let's go down to the field. Tony getting in position with Jeff Monken.
Yeah, Jeff Monken finishing up with television right now, and certainly Army has gone to the air. They've gone on the ground here to get on the scoreboard, and we stand at 14-10, and for Army here in the second half, I think that's the question for Jeff Monken is what's got to be done differently, because right now they're pretty effective running the ball up the middle and went to the air as well. Coach, you went to the air, you went to the ground there to score. What do you want to see from your team the rest of the way?
We just got to keep moving the sticks. Disappointed with the first drive, went 4 and out, and then fumbling the ball. You know, just moving the football and ball gets punched out, no reason for that. You know, that's 2 drives that are wasted. At least, you know, reserve our right to punt and flip the field. And we didn't do that on that first drive. They went down and scored and took the lead. You know, give our guys credit. They've done a nice job since. But, you know, we got to take care of the football and get some points here to start the second half. It'd be nice to take a 2-score lead.
Thanks, Coach. Back upstairs.
At the half here in the 2025 Fenway Bowl, Army 14, UConn 10. When we come back, our program host, Joe Beckerly, will take you through the halftime report. You're listening to Black Knights College Football right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
Attention, Department of War and Coast Guard civilians with a Common Access Card. You are eligible to shop your military exchanges in-store and online. Your CAC is the key to unlocking your savings benefit. Tax-free shopping with military-exclusive pricing and credit options. 100% of exchange earnings go back to improve military community quality of life programs. The Exchange. It matters where you shop. Visit shopmyexchange.com/vets to learn more.
Do
you have questions about Medicare? Let us help. Aetna has Medicare Advantage plans that include prescription drug coverage with a $0 monthly plan premium. Plus, plans include benefits for your whole health, like dental, vision, and hearing. Call Aetna today at 1-888-76-AETNA to learn more. There's no obligation to enroll. One of our licensed agents will answer your call and help you pick the right plan for you. Aetna Medicare is an HMO PPO plan with a Medicare contract. Our D-SNPs also have contracts with state Medicaid programs. Enrollment in our plans depends on contract renewal. Plan features and availability may vary by service area.
This week on Sports News, football's newest star ain't no rookie, it's DirecTV. They make it easy to find your pro and college teams across live TV and streaming apps so you never miss a moment. And with access to your game stats and scores in one place, it's good. It's DirecTV like you've never seen it. Visit DirecTV.com today. DirecTV is a proud partner of Army Athletics. Internet-connected Gemini device and separate subscriptions required. New residential customers auto-renews monthly. Cancel anytime. Equipment lease required. Unreturned device fees apply. Credit card and restrictions apply.
To those dedicated to defending our country, we recognize and appreciate your service. The General Motors Military Appreciation Program is the official automotive sponsor of Army West Point Athletics, and we're proud to honor all active U.S. military members, veterans, and retirees with a special offer on eligible new Chevrolet vehicles. It's our way of saying thank you for everything you do. Visit gmmilitaryappreciation.com to learn more.
There's something for everybody to enjoy at West Point Family and MWR. Hit the links at our 18-hole golf course with breathtaking Hudson Valley scenery, or let us host your wedding at our top-class catering venue in the West Point Club. Morgan Farms Historic Stables offers large stalls, outdoor rings, and 3 different horse boarding options in a scenic and private location. Don't forget our very own Victor Constant Ski Lodge. Visit us at westpoint.armymwr.com and follow us on Facebook at West Point FMWR.
A true teammate takes on every day with a winner's attitude, gets up when they fall down, and leaves it all on the field. There's a group of teammates who do all these things every single day. But they're more than your typical athlete. They're kids facing unthinkable medical circumstances. Team Impact matches children facing serious illness and disability with college sports teams, creating a long-term, life-changing experience for everyone involved. Join us in the movement to get all kids in the game. Visit teamimpact.org to learn more. Team Impact. All in, all together.
On the Army Sports Network from Learfield, Army Black Knights football is brought to you by Coke Zero Sugar, best Coke ever, SeatGeek, the official ticketing partner of Army West Point Athletics. Find tickets to Black Knights games and more. And by Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Welcome to the Coca-Cola Halftime Show. Here's Joe Beckerly.
Halftime at the Fenway Bowl in Boston, Massachusetts, where Army has 213 total yards, 51 yards passing, and a 40-yard touchdown catch from Noah Short, 162 yards rushing, and a 43-yard touchdown run by God's Power Wawihe, and they are holding the 14-10 lead over the UCONN Huskies. Send it downstairs now where Tony Marino is standing by with a special guest from the Army Athletic Department.
Thanks, Joe. I'm here with Tom Theo DeRockis, of course, the athletic director for the United States Military Academy in West Point. And Theo, what has it been like this week so far, just being up? I know everybody came up pretty much on Tuesday. The experience here of yet another bowl game, the Fenway Bowl.
You know, it's been a tremendous experience. The city of Boston, Fenway, the Boston Red Sox have really made it special for all of us. And, you know, when you talk about what do bowl games look like, you want to make sure it's a great experience for our cadets, and it's been remarkable.
We talk about a bowl being a reward for a season. Certainly, that is the theme whenever you go to a bowl. And they've made it a reward for the players and the coaches here this week in Beantown.
Yeah, you know, I think you want to get to those 6 wins, right, and be bowl eligible. But, you know, for us to not only be bowl eligible, but to play in a bowl game like this, an iconic venue, right? And our job's to make sure our cadet athletes have really special moments. You know, this is something they'll never forget. You know, being on the field here, great Army weather, by the way, you know, and to compete at such a high level in such an iconic venue. Can't ask for anything more.
Theo, this is, of course, the second year in the American Conference. 2 years in a row, you go to a bowl through the conference. To be in this conference, to have that power to wield a little bit, to be in a conference and have an opportunity with those 6 wins to pretty much know you're going to a bowl, it's different than independent football, which is for so long here at West Point.
It shows we can compete, right, at the national level, and that's why we made this move. You know, it wasn't easy for us to go from independent to a league. But, we wanted to be calculated in that decision. And with Tim Pernetti and the American, fantastic leadership. You saw it this year, right? There's a seat at the table. So for us, if we are able to compete at a high level, go for a conference championship, it just shows, we can compete with the best.
Theo, getting to bowl games, obviously, just the history that comes with Army football, how much do you think that helps the coaching staff when they sit down with players and talk about the experiences like the Fenway Bowl, like last year in the Independence Bowl? How much does that mean during that talk and that process?
It's the old cliche, right? That athletics could be the front porch to a university. For us, 100%, athletics could really tell the story of Army West Point and the United States Military Academy. So whether it's winning a conference championship at Mikey Stadium, or it's playing in a bowl game, or it's Army-Navy, it's an opportunity for us to tell the Army West Point story and these amazing cadets who are deciding to, raise their right hand and protect the Constitution and serve this great country.
I got one more for you, and I'll let you go. And I want to talk warmer weather, and that's, of course, in about 9 months from now, when the Mikey Stadium Preservation Project, at least the current part, comes to a close, and you open. How excited are you to get to really late August, early September back at West Point?
It's hard to put in words, right? Mikey's so iconic, over 100 years old, but, this was a preservation project that was really methodical in the sense of how are we going to do this and do it the right way. And now to see it up, to see now with glass enclosed, it's pretty special. I can't wait for our fans to be a part of it.
Looking forward to it, Theo. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Go Army.
All right, that's Tom Theodorakis. We'll send it back up to Joe.
All right, thank you, Tony. Army has the 4-point halftime lead over the UConn Huskies, 14-10. We'll have the scoring recap when we come back. Stay with us on the Coca-Cola Halftime Show. You're listening to Black Knights College Football from Learfield.
It's mandatory fun day, reporting for tailgate duty. You know what time it is. Game day. You're yelling, you're sweating, you're emotionally unstable. Give me your best. Go Army. Big shout out to the American Legion for making this tactical tailgate of glory possible, because service doesn't stop at the goal line, and neither does the pride. Suit up, show out, scream responsibly. Mandatory fun day out. Go Army!
All right. It's a beautiful day for football here at the stadium, and we're just about ready for kickoff. Score 0-0. And suddenly, I'm in the mood for a Coke Zero Sugar. Real Coke taste, zero sugar. Now that's a winning combo. Yeah, crisp, refreshing. That hits the spot. When it comes to great taste, Coke Zero Sugar's always on the scoreboard. Coke Zero Sugar. Real Coke taste, zero sugar.
What exactly does MCOR do? For healthcare facilities, we help keep patients and staff safe and comfortable. For data centers, we help the digital economy flow more reliably. For office buildings, we help make work environments secure, efficient, and compliant. In other words, for businesses and industries of every type, at MCOR, we build, power, service, and protect. Ankle pain and limited mobility keeping you on the sidelines? Army West Point Athletics has joined forces with Stryker, an expert in foot and ankle surgical solutions. As one of the world's leading medical technology companies, Stryker offers innovative foot and ankle products that help you get back in the game and on your feet so you can keep doing what you love. Visit Stryker.com/WestPoint to learn more and find a specialized surgeon in your area so you can rediscover your freedom of movement.
Army West Point Athletics and the United States Military Academy would like to recognize its Team Army partners. Industry leaders such as Stryker, USAA, Coca-Cola, MCOR, The Exchange, and CBS Sports Network, whose values and beliefs are in line with those of the Academy. Because of the generosity of Team Army members, cadet athletes are ensured of a tremendous athletic experience.
Which schools will take home the prestigious Learfield Directors Cup for the top college athletic programs for the 2025-26 college athletic season? Check out the criteria and follow the year-long standings of your favorite team at L Directors Cup on the X platform or online at thedirectorscup.com. Trophies will be awarded in June 2026 to the winning institutions in all college sports divisions. The Learfield Directors Cup, powered by NACDA, the crowning achievement in college athletics.
This copyrighted broadcast is an exclusive presentation of Learfield under the broadcasting rights granted by Army West Point. Reuse of this presentation is prohibited without the expressed written consent of the university and Learfield. Announcers are provided by Learfield and approved by the university.
Army leads UConn 14-10 here at the Fenway Bowl and the Coca-Cola Halftime Show. I'm Joe Beckerly. The halftime scoring recap is brought to you by PenFed Credit Union, proud sponsor of Army West Point Athletics. PenFed, great rates for everyone. Well, Army won the coin toss, elected to defer to the second half, so they'll get this second half kickoff when it resumes. UConn, on its opening possession, forced a punt on a 3-and-out after a tipped play by the Black Knights on a pass play. Army also went 4-and-out, technically, on its first possession. Went for it on a 4th-and-1, was stopped, turned the ball over. That led to UConn's first score of the game.
Farrar hands off Edwards, cuts back 10-yard line of the 5, and he dances in for the touchdown. So Cam Edwards on the field for 2 plays, 46 yards, and the first points of the game as UConn scores first here in the 2025 Fenway Bowl.
There's a 12-yard run by Cam Edwards. The point after from Freeman was good. 5 plays, 54 yards, 2:08 in time of possession. Army got the ball back and responded immediately up top.
Second down, we'll call it 1 for Army with the ball just inside the UConn 40-yard line. 2 receivers right, and now short in motion. Wasabi, the fullback, play fake. Helms will throw. Lost it deep down the field. A wide open Noah Short at the 5-yard line, and he takes it in for the touchdown. Noah Short from Cal Helms. And Army is on the board here in the Fenway Bowl.
Cal Helms to Noah Short, 40-yard pass play. Longest pass play for a touchdown in Fenway Bowl history. The Dawson Jones point after was good. 6 plays, 75 yards, 3:16 in time of possession, and we're all even at 7 with, 6:01 to go in the first quarter. After UConn punt, Army got the ball. Looked like they were marching down the field, but fumbled the ball, forced a turnover by UConn. They got the ball back. Army was able to stop UConn. Defensive play of the game in the first half was a sack on a 3rd and 10 by the Black Knights.
It's 3rd down and 10 for UConn from the Army 49. Farrar straight back to throw out of the gun. Steps up. Oh, taken down from behind. What a job on the blind side blitz, meandering his way around. It was Caleb Fortner who got to Farrar. Looks like the ball might have come loose. All the players in a crowd and now being separated, but a huge sack on 3rd down. Army is going to get the ball back on a punt.
3rd and 10 went to 4th and 16, and as Rich DeMarco pointed out, UConn punted. It was a good punt, and Army got 1st and 10 at their own 10-yard line, but marched all the way down to the field, and on a 2nd and 4 at the 43, it was God's Power Wasabi taking it in from distance.
This drive for Army started at the Black Knights' 10-yard line. Now in UConn territory. Handoff straight ahead. God's Power Wasabi. He's got a hole. Down to the 25. Down to the 20. And he will head to the end zone. GP for his first career TD. Army back in the lead here in the Fenway Bowl.
43 yards for God's Power. The touchdown. Dawson Jones' extra point was good. 10 plays, 90 yards, 5:57 in time of possession. Army up 14-7 with 2:58 to play. UConn, though, made the most of the time they did. Army's defense stiffened. Got down to a 4th and 2 from the 31-yard line, and rather than go for it, UConn kicked the field goal and put some more points on the board.
Zach Christinet is the long snapper. From 49 yards, Chris Freeman. High snap. Ball is down. The kick is up, and that kick has the distance, and it's good. He nailed it. Chris Freeman from 49 yards out, and the teams head into the locker room with UConn cutting the Army lead down to 4. Halftime of the 2025 Fenway Bowl. It's Army 14 and UConn 10.
So UConn used 10 plays, 50 yards in distance. in 2 minutes and 58 seconds. The field goal by Chris Freeman, a 49-yard field goal, and that cut the Army lead to 14-10 as we went into the halftime locker room. We are playing the Fenway Bowl in Boston, Massachusetts, and the second half is coming up in just a moment. Stay with us. More to come. We'll have some stats from this game. We'll have a look at the scores of other games going on around the country, other bowl games going on around the country when we return. You're listening to Black Knights College Football right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
Okay, number 22. First down. Hey, Stan, you seem so calm and relaxed these days.
Yeah, it's because my commute to the city is so easy now that I take the Coach USA bus. I'm in the office 3 days a week, and Coach USA offers me the cheapest rates. 90 days to use my 40-trip commuter book, and lots of frequent, reliable buses at convenient times. Plus, they have a new app to buy tickets digitally. Free parking, the safest drivers, and they're environmentally friendly. And it's even good for weekend travel. My life couldn't be easier. And I'm saving money. How do you think I could afford these seats?
My commute is killing me. Sitting in traffic, tolls, gas, parking. I can barely afford this hot dog.
Well, my friend, I think you should switch to Coach USA. Then you can buy these 50-yard line seats.
For schedules and fares, go to CoachUSA.com or download the Coach USA app to buy, store, and scan your tickets.
You're listening to the Army Black Knights Football Radio Network on 92.5 FM in Kingston, 96.5 FM in Beacon, and 94.3 FM in Peekskill.
Welcome back to the Fenway Bowl and the Coca-Cola Halftime Show, where Army has the 14-10 lead. They'll get the second half kickoff in just a few moments. Some scores of other games, other bowl games going on around the country. The Scoreboard Report is brought to you by The Exchange. Finals from earlier today. In the Military Bowl in Annapolis, Maryland, it was East Carolina beating Pitt 23-17. At the Pinstripe Bowl at Yankee Stadium, Penn State topped Clemson 22-10. In action right now at the Pop-Tarts Bowl first quarter, midway of first quarter, number 22 Georgia Tech and number 12 BYU scoreless. Coming up a little bit later, it'll be the Arizona Bowl, Miami and Fresno State at Arizona Stadium in Tucson. Number 25, North Texas, an opponent in the American Athletic Conference for the Black Knights. They'll be taking on San Diego State at the New Mexico Bowl in Albuquerque at 7:30 tonight. The Gator Bowl, number 19, Virginia and Missouri in Jacksonville at Everbank Stadium. And the final bowl game of the day in Houston, Texas, it's the Texas Bowl. LSU and number 21 Houston will square off in that one. Some numbers from this game. Again, Army with 213 total offensive yards to UConn's 137. The Black Knights had 51 yards through the air. UConn minus 4 yards passing. Army was 3 of 3, and the one touchdown pass from Cal Helms to Noah Short for 40 yards. 162 yards rushing for the Black Knights, 141 for the Huskies. UConn was penalized 3 times for 24 yards. No penalties for Army, but they did turn the ball over on one fumble. Army had time of possession 15-42 to UConn's 14-18. Individually, for the Black Knights, Cal Helms, 3 of 3, 51 yards passing, 1 touchdown. Jake Rendina is leading the Black Knights rushing for 57 yards on 8 carries. God's Power Wawahe, 2 carries, 52 yards, and a 43-yard touchdown for the Black Knights. Cal Helms has 41 yards on 11 carries. That'll do it for the Coca-Cola Halftime Show. I'm Joe Beckerly. We'll send it back to Rich, Dean, and Tony for the final half of the season.
And 30 minutes left in this 2025 season, and hopefully Army can go out a winner here to end this year. Those 57 yards for Jake Rendina, that's a career high for the Army fullback. Black Knights will get their hands on the football to begin the second half by virtue of winning the coin toss and deferring their choice to half number 2. Back deep, Lloyd Benson and Samari Howard. Here's the kickoff from Chris Freeman, and another good leg into it. Fair catch called for, made between the hashes by Lloyd Benson at the 2-yard line. So Army will begin 1st and 10 at its own 25. And I'll tell you what, Dean Darling, take away those mistakes Jeff Monken clearly pointed out to Tony Marino. 4th down stop, turnover. Army has had spells of moving the football in a nice rhythm.
Yeah, they've hurt themselves with the fourth down stop, as you mentioned, the turnover by Rendina, but they came back from that. And then they got that 90-yard drive to put the score up at 14-7, now a 14-10 as we go into the third quarter.
And Helms under center with Rendina, the fullback, a tight formation. 1st and 10 for Army from its own 25. Handoff Rendina, left tackle in a crowd, pushing that crowd across the 30-yard line. He'll be marked down, though, at that 30. Still a 5-yard gain on first down. Tackled by Curvins Shoot. It'll be 2nd down and 5.
So Rendina with the 57 yards in the first half, a new career high, 42 against Temple, getting the rock a lot. And again, they are playing the game in between the tackles for the most part, between Helms, Rendina. Short has gotten the ball in the perimeter maybe twice so far in the ball game, but he's been involved in the passing game.
And God's Power Wawihe in the ball game at fullback. He's the deep back in the pistol formation, a man in motion, and handoff to Wawihe off left tackle, breaks a tackle, steps out, has the first down across the 35-yard line, breaks another tackle, near side 45 to the 50, gets by one man, stays in bounds, near sideline of the 25, down to the 20. He is going to score a 70-yard touchdown run by God's Power Wawihe, his second of the ball game, and Army has taken control of this Fenway Bowl.
So Wawihe was bottled up on the left side, but he kept churning his legs. They didn't go low on him, Rich. They went high on him. They couldn't bring him down. That shows you how strong he is. And then he danced along the sideline, almost went out of bounds, kept his posture, and came right into our perch here in the broadcast booth.
Trent Jones and Lee Mollett each had a shot at God's Power Wawihe, who took it the distance, 70 yards for the touchdown. And Army's opened up a 2-score lead. And coming on to attempt the extra point, Dawson Jones. What a way to begin this second half for the Black Knights. Cooper Allen waiting for the snap. High snap. Got it down off the ground, and the ground ball kick is no good. It's covered up by Army. And it was Max Stober who jumped on the football, but Army botches the extra point. And it's a 10-point game. Army 20, UConn 10, with 14:04 left in this third quarter, as Allen did his best on the high snap, but when it came down, just hit the ground, couldn't get a good hold on it, and then it was a ground ball kick by Dawson Jones, and Army misses an opportunity. Those are those little things, and who knows if it's going to come back to haunt the Black Knights, but instead of an 11-point lead, just a 10-point lead. But the big story for today, God's Power Wawihe, over 100 yards in the game and 2 long touchdown runs. Army on top 20-10. Let's go down to the field and Tony Marino.
Guys, there's those moments, and you know I've been doing this 16 seasons, that where things stand out. And I can think back to T-Rob, Tyrell Robinson, when he made his debut and we saw just a level of speed we hadn't seen before. That was a level of power in that run there by God's Power Wawihe. Seeing that power in action, guys, that's one of those moments that's going top 5 for me. It was directly in front of me. That was an amazing run.
Top 5 moment on the field. We have top 5 stories from our road trips, Steen Darling, right? So I tell you, we're finishing out the 2025 ledger here today of those top moments from the season. It'll be Anderson Britton set to boot it away back deep. Harper and Mel Brown. Brown waits at his 5-yard line. Here comes the kick by Britton, a short kick. Brown comes up to his 9-yard line on the near hash, runs right to the 20, cuts back to the 25, taken down across that 25-yard line. They'll give him the 26, and that's where UConn will begin 1st and 10, trailing 20-10 with 14 minutes left in this third quarter. So just to reset for UConn, a bunch of opt-outs before this game. Joe Fignano, who had a terrific year, 25 touchdowns, 1 interception, under center for UConn. He opted out of the bowl game. He's playing in a bunch of postseason all-star bowl games. Nick Evers, the backup, he left the program. He's going to enter the transfer portal. The 2 starting tackles, Ben Morawski and Karsten Cassidy, they opted out of this game. And Skylar Bell, their consensus first-team All-American wide receiver, played the first series here today, and he's in a parka on the sideline. He won't be playing the rest of the game. Under center in the shotgun, Kaysen Farrar. He'll hand off left side, Victor Rosa, and he stood up and taken down. Good job spying on that play by the Army defensive lineman. Jack Latour playing in his final collegiate game. Took him down with a bear hug. That's a gain of 2 out to the 28-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 8 for the Huskies.
And the scoring drive summary is a short one. It was a 2-play, 75-yard drive. It took him 56 seconds for Army, 70-yard touchdown pass or run by Godspower Wawihay. Second of the game. He's got 122 yards, basically on 2 big carries, 43 and 70 touchdowns.
And Cam Edwards in the game. Fake end around to him and a throw on the run. Rosa can't hold on. Rosa had it at the 30-yard line. It was almost like a running screen. And Farrar put it right in his hands. Could not hold on. So it will be 3rd down and 8 for the Huskies. Big opportunity for this Army defense. Come up with a stop here. Potentially score again. Army defense, big play here. Sean Donovan comes in along that defensive line. He comes in for Cody Harris-Miller at that nose tackle
He's
spot.
played a lot at the nose tackle in this ball game. Good to see because they are down Jacob Tuioti, who would normally back up Cody Harris-Miller.
Rosa to the right of Farrar out of the shotgun. 2 receivers right and 1 left. Farrar waiting. He's got the ball. Back to throw. Has time and heaves it over the middle. It's deflected and knocked down. Looks like Stowers might have gotten his hand on the football. It's picked up by Donovan, but it's a forward pass, an incomplete pass. It'll be 4th and 1, and Army will get the ball back.
That's the 3rd time he's had a pass knocked down out of the air because it basically looks like he's telegraphing it. Looking here at the monitor.
It was Stowers who got a big right-hand paw in there to knock it away.
Well, Ford got him twice already, and then Stowers with the right hand, as you said, and then that forces him into a punt situation. How about Farrar? His numbers right now, he's 3 for 6 and a -4 yards in passing.
And so coming on, Connor Stutz to boot it away at a 49-yard punt earlier in this game. Waits back at his 14-yard line. Lloyd Benson waits back at his 35. Here comes the boot, a spiraling kick, and Benson won't field it and takes a bounce, touched up by UConn as it was about to take an Army bounce at the 43-yard line. That's only a 29-yard punt. So Army will begin 1st and 10 at its own 43-yard line. So good field position for Army and a chance to put more points on the board. 13-10 left in the 3rd quarter. 2025 Fenway Bowl. It's Army 20, UConn 10. We'll have more coming up in just a moment. You're listening to Black Knights College Football right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
Game-changing moments don't happen by chance. They require vision, innovation, and relentless drive. At Amentum, we deliver advanced engineering and technology solutions that power missions on the ground, in the air, and far beyond the horizon. From space exploration to modern defense, our expertise pushes the limits, because the future won't wait. Amentum, advancing the future together. Learn more at Amentum.com. Amentum, advancing the future together.
Life is full of adventures.
Do you take this man to be your husband?
I do. Welcome home.
We did it. He has your eyes.
He's perfect.
Make the most of them all with PenFed checking and savings accounts. Learn more at PenFed.org. Federally insured by NCAA. To receive any advertised product, you must become a member of PenFed Credit Union.
You're listening to the Army Black Knights Football Radio Network on 92.5 FM in Kingston, 96.5 FM in Beacon, and 94.3 FM in Peekskill.
Army fans, build, power, service, protect. Those are the things that describe EMCOR, a nationwide leader in all things infrastructure, from data centers to hospitals, airports to manufacturing plants. EMCOR, build, power, service, protect. And Army West Point Athletics and the United States Military Academy would like to recognize its Team Army partners, industry leaders such as Stryker, Coca-Cola, EMCOR, The Exchange, USAA, and CBS Sports Network, whose values and beliefs are in line with those of the Academy because of the generosity of Team Army members. Cadet athletes are assured of a tremendous athletic experience. Right now, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification across the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
20 WGHQ Kingston, 1260 WBNR Beacon, and 1420 WLNA Peekskill. This is the Army Black Knights Football Radio Network on 92.5 FM in Kingston, 96.5 FM in Beacon, and 94.3 FM in Peekskill.
13-10 left 3rd quarter here in Boston. The Fenway Bowl. Army leading UConn 20-10. Black Knights get the ball back 1st and 10 at their own 43-yard line after forcing a 3-and-out for UConn after the Black Knights took the lead on the second long touchdown run for the freshman, God's Power, Wasabi.
First Army freshman with 100 yards rushing and 2 rushing scores in a game since 1995. Also, Helms is playing with a 100-degree fever. But obviously, when he sees runs like that, that's got to make him feel a lot better coming from his B-back position at Wasabi. So, again, Wasabi has come in and set the tone in this game. As Rich said, maybe the future. We've been told by Coach Worley that eventually he's going to be the man. They debuted him in the Air Force game. He didn't do a lot right there, but he got his opportunity here in the Fenway Bowl.
And it's the learning, right? It's the manifestation of that work in practice, in games. Wasabi takes the handoff on first down, nearly broke another tackle, and they held onto his legs, able to fall forward near the 49-yard line, still able to pick up 6 yards on the play, and was tackled by Antonio Harris. It'll be 2nd down and 4 for the Black Knights.
So Army rushing the ball now for 294 yards. That's total yards, 51 pass, 243 on the ground. And that's Army football right there. 2 big, long touchdown runs helps the cause.
2nd and 4 for Army from its own 49-yard line. Pulaski, 1 receiver left. Toby Alawali split out to the right side. Noah Short in the backfield. God's Power, Wasabi, the deep back. Fake handoff pitch. Short right side, 50-yard line. Cuts back and is pushed out of bounds. We'll see exactly where they rule him out. It looks like the 48-yard line, or check that, 47-yard line of UConn will be close to a 1st down. Diamande makes the tackle, and it appears it'll be just about a yard short. So 3rd down coming up for Army. Black Knights looking to convert here with Helms under center. Rendina right behind him. Could be a push play. Tight formation. Helms waiting. Here's the quarterback sneak. Pushed by Rendina. Got across the 45-yard line. UConn is saying they held. It's going to come down to the spot. The official from the far sideline had him right at the 45, maybe just inside from the near side. They have him outside that 45-yard line. He is, in fact, short. It'll be 4th down and short. Expect Army to go for it here.
That was like a 4th and 2 situation, and he didn't get a lot right there. He got his helmet near, but the ball was behind him. The helmet was near the 1st down marker, but he'll have to go for it on 4th down.
Army stopped on a 4th down earlier in this game. 4.5 yard for Army from the UConn 45. Handoff Rendina plowing his way across that 45-yard line. Safely picks up the 1st down. Some pushing after the play. Alawale looked like he was thrown by Ethan Hogue. Making the tackle was Cam Chadwick. And Army able to move the chains, pick up the 1st down, and maybe most importantly, whenever Army's in the lead, running time off the clock. Now down to 10:40 left in this 3rd quarter with Army leading 20-10. 1st and 10 for the Black Knights from the UConn 43. Helms checks out of the shotgun, now under center. Rendina, the deep back. Rendina now in motion out to the left side. Helms straight back to throw. Looking, he's got time and stumbles as he tried to run with it, and then was tackled by Marquise Black, who got the break of Helms stumbling for a loss back to the 46-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 13.
Yeah, Rendina was open over here in the left flat, but I think he was looking for long range, and I'm not sure who was down the field right there for Army, and he held it, then he slipped, as you said. That's really the first time I've really seen slippage, right? Here on the turf, we talked about it, but it was just a situation where he ate the football.
And the Army running game has really neutralized any kind of pass rush from Connecticut. They've had to play so much on their heels, reacting to the Army run. Wasabi back in the game. Fake pitch to him.
There it is.
Helms back to throw deep ball. A wide open David Clerk at the 10-yard line, and he's taken down at the 5. What a catch by David Clerk, the junior slot back. Haven't said his name much at all this season. Comes up with a huge catch. Good for 43 yards. Down to the 5-yard line. Tackle made by Cam Chadwick.
Yeah, Clerk got a few early carries. There's a flag back at the line of scrimmage. The officials are talking about it.
And David Clerk, someone who has been in the mix at that slot back position and just been a matter of opportunity. And it looks like this will
There are 2 fouls on the play, 1 by each team. Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense, number 99. Personal foul, number 71 of the offense. Those fouls all set. Replay the down.
Wow. So the late hit speaks for itself, and it's just a matter of whether the Army personal foul, we'll have to take a better look at it, as we were focused obviously on the big play downfield to David Clark. Was it a retaliation from the roughing the passer? And we'll look for a replay to those listening at home.
Hey, we can't do what he did, Coach.
Okay. Well, I think we got our explanation right there. So it was the late hit, and then Generelli just pushed him down.
He did.
I get it. He's looking out for his quarterback, though it wipes out what was a huge play down to the 5-yard line. So we'll replay what was a 2nd and 13 for Army. From the 46-yard line of UConn. 9:26 left in this third quarter. Army on top 20-10. So I think they're trying to figure out the yard line.
Yeah.
I think they had that spotted in the wrong place.
Because Samus is yelling from his sideline right now that they got the ball in the wrong spot.
Let's go down to Tony.
Guys, it should be up here at the 42-yard line. You can see the sticks are here, why they didn't move it. And then the yard marker seems back.
Timeout is to confirm the down and the distance. It will be 2nd down and 13.
There you go.
Okay, so Army needs to get to the 32-yard line for a first down. The ball is spotted at the 46. It's 2nd and 13, 14, somewhere in that neighborhood. It's spotted actually between the 45 and 46. So they get that right. And the clock's still running here, 9:15. Play clock down to 18. Army's still in its huddle. And they come to line with 10 seconds left on the play clock. 2nd and 13 for Army from its own 46. A tight formation, short in motion, out to the right side. Play fake, Helms back to throw. Hit in the backfield, fires far side, caught by Short at the 35-yard line. Breaks a tackle inside the 30, pushed out at the 25-yard line. A 21-yard catch and run for Noah Short. Damon Brinson made the tackle, and Army ends up converting the long-range play. And a 1st and 10 at the 25. Two UConn players, they collided with each other. It was Aaron Key along with Lee Mollett. And on first down, here's the handoff running right side. It is Jake Rendina inside the 20 and down near the 19.
So Helms, going back to that play, that was all Helms. He threw a bullet, by the way, to Short, but it was Helms eluding the safety blitz, came off on the corner, and he just stepped up enough to avoid the hit, and then he got the pass off. That was all Helms. That was a great play by him.
2nd and 5, clock running. This will take it under 8 minutes left in this third quarter. Army in control, leading 20-10 over UConn here in the Fenway Bowl. Carson Smith in the game at fullback. He's to the left of Helms. Short in motion, left to right. He's being waved. Helms takes the snap, gives to Short, running left, the pop pass down to the 15-yard line. Cuts back in a crowd, momentum carrying him inside the 10 and down near the 8-yard line. It'll be a 1st and goal for Army, and Noah Short, if that counts as a reception on a little toss forward, will get him ever closer to the 100 yards he needs to become Army's first 1,000-yard rusher and receiver in a career.
And UConn with a player down was at the bottom of that pile, and they're going to get an injury timeout.
That's Curvins Shoot, the defensive lineman. Matt Hoffman ended up making the tackle. I haven't said his name since early in the game. He recovered the fumble of Jake Rendina, which gave UConn some momentum back in that first quarter. So while the injury is being tended to, we will step aside. 7:39 left in the third quarter here from Fenway Park, the Fenway Bowl. Army leading UConn 20-10. You're listening to Black Knights College Football right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
This holiday season, experience the gift of luxury at the all-new GMC Bedford Hills, where new ownership means a fresh start and exceptional year-end offers. From the rugged Sierra to the refined Yukon, find the perfect GMC for wherever the road takes you this winter. Enjoy exclusive holiday incentives, first-class service, and a premium showroom experience. Make your move before the year ends and discover why more drivers are celebrating the season at GMC Bedford Hills. Visit them on Bedford Road or anytime at GMC Bedford BedfordHills.com.
If you think a football game can't make you feel proud to be a citizen, think again and get your family to a home game at West Point. Producing leaders for the world's finest Army, West Point reminds us that we're all one team when push comes to shove. Doesn't matter who sits to your left or your right, and we the people are a force for good. With the nation about to celebrate its 250th year, spend an autumn day at West Point. Okay, they do fire a cannon when they score, but hey, it's the Army. And Rutberg-Breslow Injury Law is proud to sponsor Army football.
You're listening to the Army Black Knights Football Radio Network on 92.5 FM in Kingston, 96.5 FM in Beacon, and 94.3 FM in Peekskill.
Which schools will win the Learfield Directors Cup for the top college athletic programs for the upcoming year? Check out how your favorite team is doing at L Directors Cup on the X platform or online at thedirectorscup.com. Winners announced in June 2026. The Learfield Directors Cup, powered by NACTA, the crowning achievement in college athletics. An Army football brought to you by PenFed. Great rates for everyone. Visit PenFed.org to learn more. 7:39 left in this third quarter. Army in control here in the Fenway Bowl on top of UConn 20-10 with momentum and a first and goal officially from the UConn 9-yard line. Let's go down to the field and Tony Marino.
Guys, unfortunate news from the Army sideline. You'll recall in a play that was negated by a penalty, David Clark had caught a long reception. Well, he had just gone to the locker room. Looks like he was favoring his upper body shoulder area and also following him into the locker room, although seemed to be okay, was Noah Short. I will tell you, when he was on the ground at the end of that run, he got poked in the eye through his face mask, poked in the eye. So maybe they're checking that out in there. But both those guys just went into the clubhouse, if you will, to get checked out. And
thank you for that update, Tony. And Noah Short, 17 yards away from the 100 receiving yards he needed coming into today to become Army's first ever player with 1,000 rushing and 1,000 receiving yards in a career.
And today's got 10 touches for 98 yards. So he's had himself a nice day. Good to see that. Hopefully they get him back here in the final few minutes of this game.
Well, what a way to go out for him, Noah Short, statistically, and we hope he's okay.
The guy that was a defensive back when he was brought in, right? Somebody moved him over. That was a real smart move.
Carson Smith is the fullback. First and goal for Army from the UConn 9. Smith with it right side, 5-yard line, carrying the pile toward the goal line. Will they keep him out of the end zone? They do. Forward progress stopped right inside the 1-yard line. It'll be second down and goal, and Carson Smith setting up Army in a short yardage situation, getting a little chippy down there. Some pushing after the play. It was Brian Parham coming up with the tackle.
It's physical football. This is Army's brand of football. They have come out and made the statement in this game. That was their purpose of this game, and it showed right there with Carson Smith almost getting to the goal line.
They mark him down at the 2. Second and goal for Army from the UConn 2. Handoff Smith, the left side. He goes low, and he is short. Went low, thought he put the ball forward, knee down inside the 1. It'll be third down and goal. Lee Mollett ended up making the tackle. And Rendina with Army on the same sideline as UConn. The subs are coming from so far away. Rendina literally is running 65 yards to come into the game.
Yeah, that's the downside of having the teams on the same sideline.
Third and goal for Army inside the UConn 1. Helms under center. Rendina behind him, and the keep by Helms runs right, and he's in for the touchdown. Cale Helms takes it in from 1 yard out, his 17th touchdown of this magical 2025 season, and it gives Army a commanding 26-10 lead in the Fenway Bowl.
Army did such a good job getting low on their blocks, especially at right guard and right tackle, and it is easy way there for Helms to skip into the end zone. There's a flag down.
What a year for Cale Helms. 17 touchdowns. There's a penalty on the play. The officials are still discussing. Army with its PAT team on the field. So I don't think it's going to affect the touchdown. If it's against UConn, Army could go for 2 here and try and chase that botched extra point back. Let's see the call.
The result of the play is a touchdown. After the play, personal foul, UConn number 13. That penalty will be enforced on the succeeding kickoff.
So Army choosing not to take it on the extra point. knowing that the extra point would give Army a 17-point lead, which is a true 3-score lead. So the analytics don't favor then going for 2 to try to make it 18. Dawson Jones comes on to attempt the extra point. Allen looks back at Jones. Snap, ball is down. A good snap there. The extra point is up, and it is through. With that extra point, Amentum will donate $100 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Army back on the board, and a 17-point lead over UConn. Black Knights scoring 27 of the last 30 points in this game to take a 17-point lead with 6:22 left in this third quarter. Army West Point Athletics and the United States Military Academy would like to recognize its Team Army partners, industry leaders such as Stryker, Coca-Cola, MCOR, The Exchange, USAA, and CBS Sports Network, whose values and beliefs are in line with those of the Academy. Because of the generosity of Team Army members, cadet athletes are ensured of a tremendous athletic experience. And ankle pain, keeping you on the sidelines? Get back in the game. Stryker's ankle replacement solutions can help restore your range of motion. Learn more at stryker.com/westpoint.
Yeah, you look at the MCOR scoring summary, 11 plays, 57 yards for Army. Hellam's the 1-yard touchdown run. Rich mentioned his 17th of the year, and he is a guy that has been on a roll. Only the 9th Army player to have 1,000 yards rushing and scored 12 or more touchdowns in a season. Extra point good. Army forges out in front, 27-10.
Anderson Britton kicks off from midfield. A line drive kick that bounces inside the 5-yard line and into the end zone for a touchback. So UConn will begin 1st and 10 at its own 25-yard line. And that injured UConn player, Curvins Shute, the defensive lineman, is trying to walk off the injury. He's walking in the warning track area behind home plate, which is where we are, really in the end zone, calling this game. And we've got experience in some of these baseball stadiums, right? The new Yankee Stadium, Georgia State, which is the old Turner Field, and the conversion for football. They've done a terrific job here at the Fenway Bowl. Just first class all the way. So UConn now needing some offense. They've got Cam Edwards back on the field. Trips to the right. Kaysen Farrar's taken every snap. He rolls to his right out of the shotgun, throws on the run, and the pass in and out of the hands of Chris Parker, the intended receiver. He had that at the 30-yard line, and it just bounced off his chest.
Yeah, they tried to roll it out to the right. They had the blocking in front of the quarterback. He threw a nice pass, but just the drop there on the sideline. Tough day for these receivers and a quarterback. -4 yards in the passing column.
And UConn down to really its third quarterback. Joe Fagnano opting out of the bowl game. Nick Evers entering the transfer portal. Tucker McDonald's the backup. He's coming back from a broken hand, so not many options for Gordon Samus. Edwards is the deep back on second down. The handoff to Edwards. Running right, cutting back. He's spun around and taken down right at the 30-yard line. Ends up in a crowd of white and blue jerseys. It's a pickup of 5. It'll be third down. Colin Madison, the main man in there, making the tackle for the Black Knights.
And Edwards over the 100-yard mark once again in his career. And he's been their offense, Rich. You're right. He had the 2 plays, right, for 34 and 12. The 12-yarder was the touchdown. And after that, they only had the field goal.
Bowsum comes on for Javon Smith, and Army cycling a lot of defensive linemen. That's good to see here in this final game, getting a lot of guys run against what's been a patchwork UConn offensive line. Farrar, play fake, quick throw over the middle, and the pass caught across the 35-yard line and then tripped up, though, picking up a first down. Mello Murphy. Murphy, the transfer from Arizona, played at Old Dominion before that. It was Colin Madison making the tackle. 1st and 10, or I should say 1st and 10 for UConn at its own 38-yard line. Farrar out of the shotgun, play fake, straight back to throw. Heaves it down the left side, and the pass is caught in Army territory at the 46-yard line. It's Murphy again, and then forced out of bounds. It was Justin Weaver pushing him out, and Gavin Shields was close by as well. So UConn now on the move. 1st and 10 from the Army 46. Quick throw near side again. It's Murphy, cuts back and taken down by Cole Seawright, who wrapped his arms around the waist of the UConn receiver, down right around the 41-yard line of Army. That's a gain of 6. It'll be 2nd and 4.
That pass earlier by Farrar was a really nice throw. He kind of threw it in between two defenders. He spotted his receiver over right in front of the Army sideline, and they picked up sizable yards. And then the quick flare out here on the right side for another gain.
So 2nd and 4, clock running, down to 4:15 left in this third quarter. Army on top of UConn, 27-10 here in the Fenway Bowl. Farrar out of the gun. Motion, receivers out to the right side, pass caught by Nider, breaks a tackle, and then pushed out by Madison along with Thomas near the 32-yard line. Good enough for a UConn first down. So it's the Huskies moving down the field, maybe the most sustained UConn drive of the game. 5 wide on first down. Farrar back to throw, heaves it right seam, caught by Nider, cuts back 20-yard line, and then finally brought down at the Army 17. So a 16-yard catch and run by John Nider, tackled by Noah Nixon, and UConn with its best field position since its opening drive when they scored in a 12-yard touchdown run.
Army able to get substitutions in because it's down that end of the field.
And a quick throw, left side receiver screen. Again, it's Nider coming up to make the play, tripping up. Nider was Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams moves up the depth chart because of the injury to Larkin. Nadozi got the start, but Williams is number 2.
And Nider down at the 14-yard line. We're at 2nd and 7 as we come down to 3 minutes left in this third quarter. 2 receivers left, 1 right, and UConn's found something here with these multiple receiver sets. Mel Brown, the running back, to the left of Farrar. Farrar has his tight end in motion, right to left, play fake, Farrar back to throw, looking, heaves it over the middle, and it's incomplete, nearly picked by Caleb Williams. The intended receiver coming across the middle was Murphy, and the closest to it was Williams, who got a hand on it as he came over. Not a good throw.
No, he was just trying to lead Murphy in the back of the end zone, but not a good throw, too high, and Williams was closest to it.
And it's a 3rd and 7 from the Army 14. UConn, if they don't get it here, would kick a field goal because it would cut the Army lead down to 2 scores. 2 receivers right and 1 left. Farrar out of the gun here on 3rd and 7 from the Army 14. And the handoff, Mel Brown running right and run down. Javon Smith got in there along with Cody Harris-Miller near the 11-yard line. So he picked up 3 on 3rd down. It'll be a 4th down and 4. And now decision time for UConn. But I kicked the field goal here to make it a 2-touchdown game as Noah Short emerges from the Boston Red Sox dugout, the Army dugout, to make his way back to the Army sideline.
Without a helmet, too. So hopefully he gets back in offensively.
It looks like UConn's going to go for it here. I would kick the field goal.
Now they're going to keep him on the field.
We're going to go under 2 minutes left in this third quarter. Army on top, 27-10. Mel Brown, the running back, to the right of Farrar. Trips to the left, 1 receiver right. Farrar back to throw, has time, fires it over the middle. Overthrown, incomplete. Intended for Nider, who was engaged with Fortner, and they were just going at it back and forth. No penalty flags. Army holds on 4th down, and the Black Knights take over 1st and 10 from their own 14-yard line.
And again, the quarterback just kind of finds somebody at the end line of the goal line and stepped into his pass and just overthrown. Fortner had the best opportunity at it.
We will step aside. 1:48 left in the third quarter. Army 27, UConn 10 here in the Fenway Bowl. You're listening to Black Knights College Football right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
For 130 years, the Exchange has been committed to improving the quality of life for service members and their families. Now, honorably discharged veterans can shop for life at shopmyexchange.com. No fees, no gimmicks, just tax-free savings and a way to stay connected to those who serve. And 100% of the Exchange's earnings support the military community. Visit shopmyexchange.com/vets to shop and save today.
FW Webb for plumbing, heating, HVAC, refrigeration, pipe, valves, fittings, and more. FW Webb supports all customers from one-van contractors to large facility operators. For planned projects, emergency jobs, or maintenance, FW Webb has what you need, when and where you need it. With extensive inventory, personalized service, over 100 locations, and a fleet of trucks across the Northeast, visit FWWeb.com for a location near you.
You're listening to the Army Black Knights Football Radio Network on 92.5 FM in Kingston, 96.5 FM in Beacon, and 94.3 FM in Peekskill.
Minute 48 left, third quarter, the 2025 Fenway Bowl. Rich DeMarco, Dean Darling, Jill Beckerly, and Tony Marino with you here across the Army Sports Network. The Army defense holds on downs. The Black Knights will take over from their own 11-yard line. 1st and 10, and a chance here to eat up some clock with a 3-score lead. I was surprised UConn went for it. I would have kicked the field goal there because 17, that's a big number. You want to take a bite into it, get it down at least to 2 scores. They had a chance there if they attempted the field goal.
Well, you know what? It's game 13, right, of the season, and they're basically saying, we're going to just throw it out there. The offensive coordinator's leaving. I heard their defense coordinator might be leaving as well. The head coach is already gone, so why not gamble? But I'll tell you what, those were not good throws into the end zone.
We've talked a lot about the bowl game, you know, what the function of bowl games are. I know there's a lot talked about across the country, teams opting out of bowl. Well, you know, Notre Dame in particular, not wanting to play in the bowl game. Teams just hit with a ton of opt-outs. But just look at this game and just the little vignette. God's Power Wawihe, right? He has a 100-yard game, 2 touchdowns. The best running he's had all year after being converted from quarterback to fullback. I'd say that's a huge benefit of a bowl game, to give him this type of momentum to now he can go into the spring and stake a claim to that B-back spot.
Yeah, and a guy out of Texas where Army recruits so well, and now Army coaches head on to the road as soon as they get back to continue the recruiting wars. But again, Wawihe, he's going to be all over SportsCenter tonight with those 2 touchdown runs. Good for him, the freshman. Love to see it when somebody comes out of nowhere and makes a statement in a bowl game.
And he's in the game here. The touchdowns from 43 and 70 yards. And staking his claim to be the MVP of this Fenway Bowl. Cale Helms under center. 1st and 10 for Army from its own 11. He'll check into the shotgun with Wawihe to his right. 2 receivers left. The man in motion is Samari Howard. Handoff to Wawihe straight ahead. Breaks a tackle across the 15. Still on his feet to the 20 and carries a defender out to the 21-yard line. A 10-yard gain on 1st down. And UConn saying, wow, we can't bring him down. God's Power Wawihe moves the chains on 1st down.
Very deliberate style of his running ability. He really looks for the hole to open, and then he darts into it. I like the way he's seeing everything and then exploding.
1st and 10 for Army from its own 22. A man in motion, handoff again, running right. It's Wawihe bouncing off defenders, reaching out across the 25, out to the 26-yard line. That's a 5-yard gain on 1st down for the Army freshman fullback. Noah Short back in the game after being injured on that 21-yard catch and run where he was poked in the face, as reported by Tony Marino. Brian Parham made the tackle. It'll be 2nd and 6.
Parham's their leading tackler coming in. He's had well over 100 this year. He's been active in this game just because of Army's running style.
So Helms will check into the shotgun. A receiver left. That's Short. Wawihe to his left. Short 17 yards away from the 1,000 double for a career. And here's the pop pass. Noah Short cuts back. 30-yard line. Still churning out near the 32. That'll be a gain of 7. And good enough to move the chains and pick up an Army 1st down. And that'll take us to the end of the 3rd quarter. Trent Jones makes the tackle. So just like that, 15 minutes of football remain in the 2025 Army season. The Black Knights in control here at the 2025 Fenway Bowl, leading UConn 27-10. We'll have the 4th quarter coming up for you in just a moment, right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
It's just something you were born with. A need to get things right, to work hard, get dirty, and come out on top. And that's exactly what Bobcat equipment is designed to do. Fully optioned compact loaders make a bold impression on the job site and come loaded with features that improve your bottom line. Or for your biggest challenges, check out Bobcat's large excavators. Everything you expect from a Bobcat excavator, only more of it. No excuses, just pushing limits and doing it the right way or not at all. Get the Summit Bobcat in Walden or Poughkeepsie or hit summitbobcat.com.
If you're looking for a job that makes a real difference, connect with Abilities First. They're hiring in Dutchess and Orange County. Abilities First supports individuals with special needs, from preschoolers to adults, helping them thrive all the way. If you're compassionate, patient, and love helping others, they want to meet you. Even if you have no experience, it's not a problem. They have entry-level positions with real pathways to grow into leadership. At Abilities First, inclusion isn't just a goal, it's their mission. Make your work meaningful. Apply today online at abilitiesfirstny.org. Abilities First, where ability meets opportunity. You're listening to the Army Black Knights Football Radio Network on 92.5 FM in Kingston, 96.5 FM in Beacon, and 94.3 FM in Peekskill.
Fourth quarter about to get underway with Army leading UConn 27-10 in the Fenway Bowl. I'm Joe Beckerly with scores of other bowl games going on around the country today. The Scoreboard Report brought to you by The Exchange. Right now, second quarter action midway in the second. It's number 12 BYU leading number 22 Georgia Tech 10-7 at the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Just underway, Miami, Ohio, and Fresno State scoreless at the Arizona Bowl. Coming up a little bit later, it's number 25 North Texas taking on San Diego State at the New Mexico Bowl. Later this evening at the Gator Bowl, it's number 19 Virginia and Missouri in Jacksonville, Florida. Rounding out the day will be LSU and number 21 Houston in the Texas Bowl in Houston, Texas. Final scores from earlier today in the Military Bowl. It was East Carolina beating Pitt 23-17, and Penn State over Clemson 22-10 in the Pinstripe Bowl down at Yankee Stadium. I'm Joe Beckerly. The final scoreboard report of the season, final quarter of the season coming up right now with Rich, Dean, and Tony.
And welcome to the fourth quarter, brought to you by GM Military Appreciation. Get a special offer on Chevrolet vehicles at gmmilitaryappreciation.com. So Army will have it first and 10 at its own 33-yard line. This drive began back at the 11 when Army held on downs. Black Knights on top of UConn, 27-10. These final 15 minutes of the season, of course, hoping Army can ice this game. But I'll tell you, this is this group of 24 seniors, and this their last time with this Army program, and maybe a little bit of fun if Army can get this game in tow.
Yeah, and give them a winning season. Just a little bit of intel on Wawahe. He's a guy that was at the prep school just a year ago. He didn't play the first 7 games of this year, and then he got a couple carries for 8 yards against Air Force, smattering of a couple carries here and there. Didn't play in a Navy game, but they get this kid out of Texas. He's from Garland, Texas, and he actually played at 2 different high schools. He was the quarterback, and he could throw the ball, Rich. I want to see him throw the ball today on a gimmick play. 3,184 yards passing in his career, 32 touchdowns, and then he came to West Point, and they said, well, we're going to make you a fullback because we're kind of got a logjam at quarterback, and here he is on game 13 of the season, making a great debut.
Well, just look ahead. If Wawahe can establish himself as the fullback on this team, what kind of options does he give Jeff Munkin? Yeah. No pun intended, on option passes when he gets the ball in his hands as the fullback. As we know, Jeff Munkin recruits a lot of high school quarterbacks. Remember Shane Buckingham, the offensive tackle, he was a high school quarterback.
Yep.
So first and 10 for Army from its own 33 as we begin the fourth quarter. Pistol formation with Wawahe in the game. Helms gives to God's Power, running left 35-yard line, churning his legs out near the 37. That's a 4-yard gain. Army getting a great push from its offensive line. Doesn't look like Wawahe needed to move much and picked up 4 yards. King makes the tackle.
What's nice of doing the game out of the end zone, you actually just see the way the holes open up, and you see where he's going to dart into those holes. And as you said, the left side of the offensive line with Jeff Coate doing over there, and Appleton, they're doing a great job.
Tight formation for Army. Now Helms goes under center with Wawahe, the deep back, here on 2nd and 5 for Army. from its own 38. Helms straight back to throw, looking, throws left side, caught by short, breaks a tackle, 50-yard line into UConn territory, runs out of bounds at the 44. Dean, that might be it. Army picks up a first down, and Noah Short becomes the first player in Army football history with 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving in a career.
Yep, 7 catches, 108 yards, needed 100 coming in today. That's history right there, right in front of us.
Oh, beautiful. It couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Noah Short picking up that. Just a tremendous honor, accomplishment here for the Army football program. It's 1st and 10 for Army from the UConn 44. Wasabi the fullback, 13:40 left in the game. Handoff Wasabi running right, cutting back, 40-yard line, still pushing, dragging defenders down near the 38. 6-yard pickup, and Parham makes the tackle. We talked about being behind the end zone, and, we post pictures on social media. People see where our broadcast location is from. I'll tell you what's a lot different calling a game here than at Yankee Stadium. We're a lot higher, so it's actually much more easy to see everything develop instead of being so low and seeing players blocking. 2nd and 3 for Army from the UConn 37. 2 receivers left. Rendina is the fullback. Play fake. Helms back to throw, has to scramble out to his left side. Looking, and then heaves it out of bounds. Not near anyone, but he was outside of the tackles, so not intentional grounding. It'll be 3rd down and 3 from the UConn 37.
Yeah, that's a really good move there by Helms because he had 2 defenders that were kind of creeping up on him, and there was no place to really throw the ball. He threw it to the Army sideline. Eat one right there because you got more downs.
3rd and 3, and Army in clock-killing mode, hopefully. I know they threw on that play. Rendina, the fullback. 3rd and 3 from the UConn 37. Howard in motion, handoff Rendina, left side, pushing the pile, and able to drag everyone toward a first down to the 32-yard line. Mollett led the charge on the tackle, and the Black Knights move the chains. Another first down.
You see Brady Small telling the Army crowd it was a first down as well. First team All-America Conference player, also named Division I FBS All-ECAC team. Where would they be without him today? 39th consecutive start.
Wasabi back in the game here on 1st and 10 for Army from the UConn 31. 2 receivers left. Samari Howard in motion. Handoff Wasabi straight ahead. Ended up getting cut down near the 25-yard line. Or check that, the 26. That's a 5-yard gain on first down. Taekwon King makes the tackle. It'll be 2nd and 5 as we go under 12 minutes left in this Fenway Bowl.
So Wasabi's updated numbers: 9 carries, 161 yards, 2 touchdowns, a long as 70. He's only averaging 18 yards a carry.
UConn saying, who is this guy?
Really? Who's number 7?
And he's in the game. Helms under center. Howard, the receiver, out to the right side. Helms waiting. He sends Howard in motion, and the handoff. Wasabi straight ahead in a crowd, but Army getting a great push on the offensive line. Brought down at the 24-yard line. A gain of 3. It'll bring up 3rd down and 2. Cleto Chol makes the tackle.
3rd down today. Army has done well. 6 for 9. I stated in the scouting report that UConn was 36th in the nation stopping the opponents at 35% rate. So that's a good number for Army.
3rd down, we'll call it 4 for Army from the UConn 25. Handoff Rendina running left, cutting back, carrying defenders. Looks like he got inside the 20, and it is good enough, it appears, to pick up the first down, and he does. Scholl again on the stop. So Army can take a couple of more minutes off the clock as we're down to 10:40 left in the game, and Army on top of UConn 27-10.
And this is just an offensive line that started to dominate the game, especially started into the 3rd quarter. Did a good job in the first half, but now they're wearing down the defense.
Helms under center. 1st and 10 for Army from the UConn 20. Rendina, the fullback, a tight formation. Hayden Reed in the game for the first time. Handoff Rendina, running left, has a block down to the 15, and then brought down right there. So the senior Hayden Reed getting on the field in his final collegiate game. Devin Pringle making the tackle.
Hayden Reed, who had his moments, actually had a good game earlier this year against North Texas. Had some problems with fumbles. Hasn't played a lot lately. Special situations where they needed a good blocking back. Good to see him in his final appearance.
Wasabi remains in the game to the right of Helms out of the shotgun. 2nd and 5 for Army at the UConn 15-yard line. 9:35 left in the fourth quarter. Handoff, Wawihe, stutter step, running right, runs through one defender, then finally taken down. They needed 2 to bring him down. And the tackle was made by Taekwon King along with Cam Chadwick.
Rich, he's a load, you know. He's 211 pounds. He's 5'10". Maybe that's why a lot of schools didn't really look at him as a quarterback, right? Being 5'10", but I'll tell you what, he's got a powerful running style. No wonder his name's God's Power.
It's a gain of 3. It'll be 3rd down and 2 for Army. From the UConn 12, Helms under center. Wawihe, the deep back. Tight formation. Handoff Wawihe running right. Cuts back 10-yard line down to the 5. He's got the first down and dives to the 6-yard line. Wawihe showing a little movement. Yeah. Cutting back. Mollett making the tackle.
A little shiftiness as he danced to the right, juked back to the left, got down to the 5.
So it's a 1st and goal for Army. 8.5 minutes left in this Fenway Bowl, and a chance to put the knockout punch on. Tight formation for Army. 1st and goal from the UConn 5-yard line. Helms waiting, running right, has a block to the goal line. Touchdown, Army! And that will ice the ball game. Cale Helms takes it in from 5 yards out. His 2nd touchdown of the ball game. And with 8 minutes and 18 seconds to play, Army eclipses the 30-point mark in this 2025 Fenway Bowl.
And he didn't go down either. He went right off right tackle, and he just got himself into the end zone, stared up at the end zone fans facing him. Another score for Army, now 18 on the year for Helms.
Dawson Jones on to attempt the extra point. Jones 3 for 3 on PATs. Army had botched 1, and a high snap. Again, ball is down. The kick is up by Jones, and it's good. So Jones puts it through, and Army increases its lead to 34-10. With that extra point, Amentum will donate $100 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Army, 8 minutes, 18 seconds away from a 6th bowl win in the last 10 years under head coach Jeff Monken, a commanding 34-10 lead over UConn in the Fenway Bowl. We'll have more from Fenway Park coming up in just a moment, right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
What exactly does MCOR do? For healthcare facilities, we help keep patients and staff safe and comfortable. For data centers, we help the digital economy flow more reliably. For office buildings, we help make work environments secure, efficient, and compliant. In other words, for businesses and industries of every type, at MCOR, we build, power, service, and protect.
There's something for everybody to enjoy at West Point Family and MWR. Hit the links at our 18-hole golf course with breathtaking Hudson Valley scenery, or let us host your wedding at our top-class catering venue in the West Point Club. Morgan Farms Historic Stables offers large stalls, outdoor rings, and 3 different horse boarding options in a scenic and private location. Don't forget our very own Victor Constant Ski Lodge. Visit us at westpoint.armymwr.com and follow us on Facebook at West Point FMWR.
You're listening to the Army Black Knights Football Radio Network on 92.5 FM in Kingston, 96.5 FM in Beacon, and 94.3 FM in Peekskill.
Rich DeMarco, Dean Darling, Joe Beckerly, and Tony Marino back at Fenway Park, America's most beloved ballpark. Army 8 minutes and 18 seconds away from winning this 2025 Fenway Bowl, a commanding 34-10 lead over UConn, and Helms 2 touchdowns to join God's Power Wawihe. What a ball game here today.
You know, one of the interesting notes that went into this game was how Army responds after a loss to Navy, right? And And you got to give Jeff Monken a lot of credit to get this team ready after a devastating 1-point loss to Navy 2 weeks ago today, and to turn the tables and win here and give this team a winning program for the seniors. It's just great to see. Let's go down to Tony on the floor.
And a lot of smiles, as you would expect down here among those Kel Helms. Again, go back a few weeks ago, right? And after just how awful he felt after that game, all smiles when he came to the sideline, actually grabbed the chair and slung it at a celebration to see him that way. And who was as excited as Helms? How about Dwayne Coleman? Dwayne Coleman taking some snaps now. It's likely when Army gets the ball back, it'll be Dwayne Coleman who will get his last chance at quarterback here at West Point.
No, it'll be nice to, as we said, this final 15 minutes, if it went the way, it's gone over the first 7 minutes. Army could have a lot of fun here in the closing minutes and get some folks on the field, as you mentioned, and a lot of smiles to end what's been really an up and down year. Army has, I don't want to call it rebuilding, but they've been retooling at some different positions, and to finish with a bowl game victory, 6th in their last 10 years, would be a nice way to finish it off. Anderson Britton could be his final kickoff as a collegiate player. Mel Brown fields it inside the 3-yard line between the hashes. Cuts back 10-yard line, gets by one defender. Near side 20-yard line, cuts back 25. He's got one man to beat. That's Britton, but then he slows down for Britton. And then a host of Black Knights come over to make the tackle at the 42-yard line. Britton slowed him down enough, and Elijah Walton able to make the special teams tackle. And UConn will begin 1st and 10 at that 42-yard line.
So Army, for the 9th time this year, as we bring you the MCOR scoring drive summary, runs off a drive of 15 or more plays. This one 15 for 89, 8:22 in time of possession. Helm's 6-yard touchdown run, 2nd of the game, 18th of the year. And on the extra point, Army has taken a lead, 34-10. You know, you think about it, right, Rich? Army's played in 9 very close games this year. You think of the overtime losses, right? Early in the year, the loss to Navy, the close wins. Yeah, it's just been a good statement here at the end of the year.
And we will step aside and take a break. 8:06 left in the ball game. Army 34, UConn 10 in the Fenway Bowl. You're listening to Black Knights College Football right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
Life is full of adventures.
Do you take this man to be your husband?
I do. Welcome home.
We did it.
He has your eyes.
He's perfect.
Make the most of them all with PenFed checking and savings accounts. Learn more at PenFed.org. Federally insured by NCAA. To receive any advertised product, you must become a member of PenFed Credit Union.
All right. It's a beautiful day for football here at the stadium, and we're just about ready for kickoff. Score 0-0. And suddenly, I'm in the mood for a Coke Zero Sugar. Real Coke taste, zero sugar. Now that's a winning combo. Yeah, crisp, refreshing. That hits the spot. When it comes to great taste, Coke Zero Sugar's always on the scoreboard. Coke Zero Sugar. Real Coke taste, zero sugar.
You're listening to the Army Black Knights Football Radio Network on 92.5 FM in Kingston, 96.5 FM in Beacon, and 94.3 FM in Peekskill.
8:06 left in the 4th quarter here from Fenway Park. The 2025 Fenway Bowl. Army leading UConn 34-10. A lot of credit to this Army team. Tough loss 2 Saturdays ago in Baltimore against Navy. This team stayed focused against a UConn team that, and Gordon Samus was clear, even with all the opt-outs, they had more than enough talent to win this game. Army's done a terrific job of really taking control, really in the 2nd quarter into the 3rd quarter. Shrugged off a couple of tough mistakes early in this game. A turnover and a missed 4th down. So 34-10 the score, and it'll be UConn football 1st and 10 at their own 42-yard line.
Who would have thunk going into this game that your 2 leading rushers would be Wawihe and Rendina, right? Wawihe today with 171 yards, Rendina with a career-high 87 yards. And that kind of tells the story right there. They got contributions from a lot of different people.
And it's funny, in a season where we were tracking this stat all year, what was it? Army had only 3 losses, 53-3 coming into this year under Jeff Monken when they won the turnover battle. Army lost 4 games this year. when they won the turnover battle. Army losing the turnover battle here in a game they're on top 34-10.
Thank goodness they didn't score off that one.
Kaysen Farrar still in the game at quarterback for UConn. One receiver left, two right. Farrar steps up in the pocket, heaves it down the left side of the pass, caught at the Army 40-yard line, and then scurrying out of bounds inside the 35. Raymelo Murphy, he stepped up as the top receiver for UConn in today's game as Skylar Bell, the consensus first-team All-American wide receiver, played just the opening series of the game and then shut it down for the rest of the game.
Yeah, with different numbers on Raymelo Murphy, 6 carries for 18 yards.
Here comes a handoff on 1st and 10 from the Army 30. Running right, Oliver Lundberg Coleman cuts back at the 25, and inside the 20 goes down at the 18-yard line. Gavin Shields makes the tackle. So Gordon Samus going deeper into his running back pool here in this fourth quarter. And another carry running right. Breaks a tackle at the 25, then taken down at the 15. Eric Ford with the tackle on Lundberg Coleman. He is a redshirt freshman from Sweden. So UConn recruiting internationally, not just for basketball programs, international recruiting these days. Trips left, two receivers right here on 2nd down. Receiver screen coming left side for Murphy. Cuts back at the 10-yard line and then tripped up right there. That's a gain of 5. It'll be 3rd down and 2. Nadozi makes the tackle. So UConn going quickly. Best field position they've had this game at the Army 10. Here on 3rd down and 2. Farrar looked like he was going to run it right, then gets by Fortner and taken down by Nadozi. Got the legs and tripped him up at the 11-yard line. It'll be 4th down. And no choice here. UConn's going to have to go for it with 6:15 left in the game and the clock running.
They've been a good red zone team this year, but they misfired the last time. They threw a bunch of incompletions in the end zone. So 4th down and chance to try and get 7 on the board.
And this was the exact yard line, the 11, where Army stopped them at the other end of the field late in the 3rd quarter. Lundberg Coleman in motion out to the left side. Farrar out of the shotgun is going to run it straight ahead. He's got the first down to the 5-yard line, breaks a tackle to the goal line. Touchdown to UConn. Kaysen Farrar, his first career touchdown, an 11-yard scoring run on 4th down, and UConn is back on the scoreboard with 5 minutes and 47 seconds left in the ballgame.
They did a good job. They really spread Army out. Army was kind of trying to guess about who to pick up as the wide receivers, and then he brought it right back to the middle of the field and got in.
So UConn down 18 points is going to go for 2. And wouldn't be surprised to see Terrence Smith take a Wildcat snap here. We haven't seen him. He came off the sideline into the game. He's a backup wide receiver. Farrar is in the game. He'll go under center, and Smith lined up as a receiver to the left side. For the 2-point conversion, here's the pitch, and it's the end around to Terrence Smith, who's going to throw it to Farrar, far sideline at the 10, and then pushed out of bounds by Jabril Williams inside the 5. So the little bit of trickery results in the 2-point conversion not converted, and the lead for Army will hold at 34-16.
Yeah, some razzle-dazzle going for a 2-point conversion. Good job by Army.
Yeah, Terrence Smith, who's been the Wildcat, came on for the first time today, and then the little end around with Lundberg Coleman didn't quite work out for the 2-point conversion. Army will get the ball back when we come back. 5:47 left in this Fenway Bowl. Army 34, UConn 16. You're listening to Black Knights College Football right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
When it comes to personal injury law, nothing is more important than consistency. Consistently getting clients the results they deserve and consistently being recognized for your professional ability. Hi, this is Jeff Feldman of Feldman, Kleidman, Collins & Sape. FKCS has been recognized by Best Lawyers as a best law firm every year since 2010, including this year. If you've been injured in an accident, call 845-897-5199 for a free consultation or visit us at fkcs.law.
This holiday season, experience the gift of luxury at the all-new GMC Bedford Hills, where new ownership means a fresh start and exceptional year-end offers. From the rugged Sierra to the refined Yukon, find the perfect GMC for wherever the road takes you this winter. Enjoy exclusive holiday incentives, first-class service, and a premium showroom experience. Make your move before the year ends and discover why more drivers are celebrating the season at GMC Bedford Hills. Visit them on Bedford Road or anytime at gmcbedfordhills.com.
You're listening to the Army Black Knights Football Radio Network on 92.5 FM in Kingston, 96.5 FM in Beacon, and 94.3 FM in Peekskill.
Army 34, UConn 16 here in the 2025 Fenway Bowl. 5 minutes and 47 seconds left in the ball game. Right now, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification across the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
920 WGHQ Kingston, 1260 WBNR Beacon, and 1420 WLNA Peekskill. This is the Army Black Knights Football Radio Network on 92.5 FM in Kingston, 96.5 FM in Beacon, and 94.3 FM in Peekskill.
Army leads it 34-16 with 5 minutes and 47 seconds left in this 2025 Fenway Bowl. Army's already broken the record for longest touchdown pass in a Fenway Bowl, most points scored in a Fenway Bowl. Noah Short becomes the first Army football player ever with 1,000 career rushing yards and 1,000 career receiving yards. Now about Cale Helms with his 2 touchdowns today, the second most rushing touchdowns in a season for an Army quarterback. Knew it was going to be tough to replace Bryson Daly. Cale Helms, not bad in his first year as the starter.
I said to you when we were break, I go, Rich, not bad, huh? 50 touchdowns by your 2 quarterbacks the last 2 years, 32 by
different
Daly.
Quarterbacks, right?
Yeah, different quarterbacks. And then Helms making a statement. They didn't even know who the quarterback was going to be, right? Coleman started the season, and then Helms made a statement that he had a tough game against North Texas, and Coleman got another star, but it's been Helms over the second half of the year.
And you want to dial it back even further. Ethan Washington may have thought at the start of training camp was going to end up being the Army starter. He injured a knee during a scrimmage. He'll be back next year. So the future bright, and this Fenway Bowl is going to do a lot to put smiles on the faces of this Army football program. So UConn setting up for an onside kick. It'll come to the left side with the ball resting flat on the field, and the spiraling kick. Gavin Shields got on it, had to bobble it, but got on top of it at the 42-yard line, and Army able to recover the onside kick from Chris Freeman. And here comes the Army offense, and a great thing to see here. Dwayne Coleman, the senior, will come in his final quarter as a college football player to run this Army offense.
Yeah, this will be his 6th game appearance of the year, the starting quarterback.
Game clock operator, please reset the game clock to 5:44. 5:44 in the game clock.
When we started back in late August, and then he just stayed in there, though, even though he lost his starting job to Helms. What a great leader. He's going to be a great soldier and a great leader in the U.S. Army.
We saw him in the second half against Charlotte some weeks back. Hayden Reed in motion right to left. Carson Smith is the fullback here on first down from the 42-yard line of UConn. Handoff to Smith inside the 40-yard line, then goes down at the 39, and a 3-yard gain. The clock will run inside of 5 minutes and 30 seconds left in the game. And Army on top 34-16. Tackle made by Marquise Black.
We talk about how important Texas is as a recruiting state for Army. There you see right there,
timeout
Selma.
for an injured player.
Selma, Texas is the home there of Coleman. Wawie, obviously coming from Garland, Texas. And now just a stoppage in play with an injured player.
So the injured player being tended to, trying to get an ID on that player. It's a UConn player. And the clock stopped momentarily here with 5:26 left in the game. And Army on top 34-16. I'll tell you, it's interesting to know the opening day for Army football in 2026 going to be on a Saturday at home, the Saturday of Labor Day weekend against Bryant, as the new Mikey Stadium is going to be christened.
Yes, I saw that. They're going to play Bryant, an FCS school, and I was, wow. So what happened is Labor Day's so late, it's the 7th of September, and they're going to open that weekend before.
Umar Diamande was the injured UConn player, came off the field on his own power. It'll be a 2nd down and 8 for the Black Knights from the UConn 39-yard line. I know so much has got into the Mikey Stadium preservation project, this new Mikey Stadium. It's going to be a new experience next year. Benson in the game as a slot back right. Army going heavy to the left side on the offensive line with Reed there. Smith is the fullback. Hand off Carson Smith. Running left has got a block, cuts back to the 35-yard line. Still on his feet and goes down at the 34. Tackled by Brian Parham and Devin Pringle. It'll be 3rd down. 3rd down and a couple. 3rd and 3.
It's almost refreshing to see a game like this from Army to go be up by 18 with a little under 5 minutes left. Their last 6 games decided by a total of 16 points. That's unbelievable. And again, that 1-point loss to Navy.
3rd down and 3 from the UConn 34. An Army moving linemen to either side. Smith, the fullback, handoff Carson Smith. Hit right at the line of scrimmage. Didn't think he got there. Maybe got a yard. It's going to be 4th down. And Army, you'd expect to go for it here as we're going to go under 4 minutes on the 4th quarter clock.
See Ned Brady's out there playing offensive line right now, so they're spotting some people, some reps here that don't usually get them in ball games.
And Ned Brady, the native of New Canaan, Connecticut, and he was Jeff Monken and the Army players were asked at yesterday's media day for the Fenway Bowl about Ned Brady, right? You have UConn reporters there. They're trying to get the local angle. And Jeff Monken said, just a great teammate. And Andon Thomas jumped in and said, well, I'm going to tell you, he's one of my closest friends on the team. And there's no one that can bring everyone together, just be a great teammate and be a big part of this team than Ned Brady. So it's great to see him getting some run. 4th and 2 for Army from the UConn 33. Black Knights will go for it here. Connecticut took its first timeout. The timeouts aren't showing up on the scoreboard. Not like our listeners care, right? Does the listener care? No. But an Army waiting, and it looks like
they started the play clock really late.
So I think they're going to start
at the half. UConn, 30-second timeout.
But there was a timeout just before that. You know what? There's 4:03 left in the season, right? So it'll be 4th and 2 for Army at the UConn 33 with 4:03 left in the game. And I'll tell you, this first down, maybe one more, could just about end this game. Army 335 yards rushing in this game. Just a good feeling the way Army's going to close out this season.
Their season high 387 against North Texas really early in the schedule. So, yeah, you're right. And they basically told us yesterday, Rich, ground and pound. And that's basically been it. They hit the home run ball, was short on a long bomb, but that's because they had run the ball consecutively so many times into the line, and then just Helms reared back and threw a nice dart down the middle to short. But other than that, it's been mostly all runs.
See if Army can convert this 4th and 2. 4th and 2 for the Black Knights from the UConn 33. Smith, the deep back. Coleman waiting under center. Coleman's going to keep it. Runs left. Has a block. He stood up and pushed back. I don't think he got there. Army signaling they got the first down. Parham made the tackle. I don't think he did. And it looks like the 4th down fails. And he did get the first down. So he did get the forward progress. Army was signaling they got it. UConn saying they stopped him. So it able to move the chains for Army. So the Black Knights can take a couple more minutes off this clock and get closer to a Fenway Bowl victory.
See Brady Mott is back in there, too, at a slot back position. A real good blocker for Army.
Mott and Clerk are the slots. Carson Smith, the fullback. 1st and 10 for Army from the UConn 31. Play fake. Coleman going to throw. Fires it left side. Incomplete. Underthrown. And the pass was intended for Brady Mott, the junior from Vacaville, California. So that'll stop the clock with 3:17 left in the game.
Another guy we got to get a shout out to is Braden Bartosh, because he had to come in and play key times with Army beat up on the offensive line. Generelli was out for an extended period of time, and he steps into a big role. He's out there right now.
2nd and 10 for Army. From the 32 of UConn, handoff Carson Smith, straight ahead, pushing the pile inside the 25, down near the 20-yard line, taken down, right at that 20, and he picks up a first down. A 12-yard run with about 8 of it in a pile of offensive linemen, defensive linemen. Trent Jones, we'll say, was the one who brought him down. And Army with a first down with 2:50 to play. And going to be able here to pretty much run the clock out. How about another player who didn't suit up today because of injury, but Liam Fortner, Caleb's twin brother, who didn't have a catch this year, but just played a big role as a blocking wide receiver, almost on the field as a tight end many times.
Yes, he was a real key to last year's success, and this year, unfortunately, he was injured.
Tanner Bivens in the game. Here's a handoff to Carson Smith, and he's bouncing his way near the 15-yard line. And Bivens on the offensive line, and that'll take us down to the 2-minute timeout. He's in for Brady Small, and Bivens is someone who we talked to, we heard from him in the pregame show, where any role that you could have on this team, and he was so proud when I talked to him about what he's accomplished, moving up from the scout team, playing a role as a backup on this offensive line, something that, those are the memories many of these seniors are going to have. And with that, we're at the 2-minute timeout. 2 minutes left in this 2025 Fenway Bowl. Army leading UConn 34-16. We'll have the final 2 minutes coming up in just a moment right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, college football fans, I know you'd do anything for a win on game day and an ice-cold Bud Light. Because whether you're tailgating in the parking lot or parked on the couch, sitting on your lucky stool at the bar, or standing in the fan section all game long, the clean, crisp taste of Bud Light turns a win into a win-win. And there's nothing easier to enjoy than that. Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
What exactly does MCOR do? For healthcare facilities, we help keep patients and staff safe and comfortable. For data centers, we help the digital economy flow more reliably. For office buildings, we help make work environments secure, efficient, and compliant. In other words, for businesses and industries of every type, at MCOR, we build, power, service, and protect.
You're listening to the Army Black Knights Football Radio Network on 92.5 FM in Kingston, 96.5 FM in Beacon, and 94.3 FM in Peekskill.
Rich DeMarco, Dean Darling, Jill Beckerly, and Tony Marino back at Fenway Park in Boston. 2 minutes left in this 2025 Fenway Bowl. Army is going to pick up its 7th victory of the season, 7th bowl game in the last 10 years under Jeff Monken. They'll now be 6-1 in those bowl games, a 34-16 lead over UConn with these 2 minutes left in the game.
You know, Rich, in our history of calling games together, we've had some wild bowl finishes, right? This one is not going to be that way because this is a statement game where Army's going to win the game and win it handily by double figures.
It's our third, right? Our third that hasn't come down to the wire, right? So it was the Armed Forces Bowl 70-14. It was last year 27-6 in the Independence Bowl. Now this one 34-16, but we've had a lot of nail biters. 2010 SMU. 2016 overtime against North Texas.
How about the Missouri win?
Oh, and then how about the loss to West Virginia? Let's go down to the field and Tony Marino.
Guys, I'm here to report on some mischief going on behind the Army bench. It's near the Powerade coolers. There's some dancing going on, and I can tell you who's taking care of all this right now and knows everything that's going on. That's Jeff Monken. He wants to make sure these guys stay tuned in, telling his staff, stay on them. But I can tell you that Gavin Shields and Andy Thomas have an eye on a pretty full Powerade bucket with the top off.
That would be tough today.
Yeah, hopefully that's warm Powerade. So I'll tell you what, and this team deserved this for the year that they've had, the ups and the downs, to go out like this in this Fenway Bowl. And really the performance today underscores, from talking to everyone around the team, what's been a great experience here in Boston. Since December 23rd, they got to throw the baseball around the outfield, hang out inside the Green Monster. 2nd and 4 for Army from the UConn 15-yard line. Dwayne Coleman in the game at quarterback. Carson Smith is the fullback. Coleman waiting. Handoff. Carson Smith straight ahead, moving the pile inside the 10-yard line. Breaks away near the 5-yard line. Still on his feet. Finally wrestled down at the 6. The crowd had stayed to the left side. Carson Smith broke away, and there were 2 defenders on him. Cam Chadwick made the touchdown-saving tackle. And it'll be a 1st and goal for Army from the UConn 5. Cleto Chol was there as well.
Yeah, and that play took a while because it got bottled up, as you said, and then he popped out to the right, and he had 2 defenders on him, riding him, and then finally got brought down by a 3rd defender.
And they spot the ball at the 6. 1st and goal for Army. Carson Smith, the deep back. Dwayne Coleman under center. Handoff Carson Smith running right. Hit at the 2, and then waltzes in for the touchdown. Carson Smith off the right side, the 2nd touchdown of his collegiate career. And with 1:20 to play, that'll just about put the icing on the cake in a dominating Fenway Bowl performance for the Army Black Knights.
Yeah, he was just boomeranging around as he got through that line and just held on the ball. Good to see, because he hasn't had a lot of action of late. And to get into this game and score a touchdown, as you said.
Oh, he didn't play a couple weeks ago in the Army-Navy game. His Army had gone with Samari Howard, a little bit of Jake Rendina at that fullback spot.
Good to see.
Army will line up for the extra point. It'll be Dawson Jones. One last time for this 2025 season. Snap, ball is down. Jones' kick is up, and the kick is good. With that extra point, Amentum will donate $100 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Army breaks the 40-point mark, 41-16. And Army knew the mission at halftime. Jeff Monken was not happy coming off the field at the end of the first half. Army had a 4-point lead at 14-10. Said he wanted to see the mistakes cleaned up. Army goes and outscores UConn 27-6 in the second half, and now 80 seconds away from a bowl game victory.
A lot of people are going to say, oh, well, you know, UConn had a lot of opt-outs. Well, when you look at it, UConn's opt-outs were mostly on the offensive side of the football, and they only had one starter not start here today. As far as opt-outs are concerned. So.
You know what, and that's, you know, why are you playing the games then, right? You know, I hate when there's, you know, excuses made for bowl game performances based on opt-outs. And Army, the better team here today, and is going to win this game in convincing fashion. So Anderson Britton will have one more kickoff in his Army career. A line drive takes a bounce at the 20-yard line, picked up by Mel Brown. And across the 25 out to the 30, and a special teams tackle made. And the celebration for the person making the tackle, the senior safety, Charlie Barnett. So
Charlie Barnett, who came in as a kicker, right?
Yes, he did.
It was on the scout team. Monken called him over the summer. He wasn't going to play football again. And Monken goes, "You mean so much to this group. Can you just come back and play some football for us?" He obviously didn't get many reps at all, but what a valuable guy. And you saw the explosion from the sideline.
Can't write it better than that.
Right?
He gets his
and he hit it out of the park at Fenway Park.
Right? Apropos. So 1:14 left, and UConn will see a new quarterback in the game. And out of the shotgun, here's the handoff running right. So the new UConn quarterback is Tyler Smith. He's a freshman from Shelton, Connecticut. And MJ Flowers took the handoff, ran right, picked up maybe a yard. It'll be second down. They'll call it 10. Andon Thomas making the tackle. No, they end up giving him a yard. It's down to 50 seconds left in the game. Could very well be our final play. So Kaysen Farrar went just about the distance for UConn at quarterback. And now finishing it out, Tyler Smith. Perhaps one last play in this game. The handoff running right, cutting back. There's a penalty flag on the play. That's Malichi Greaves. Pushed out of bounds far sideline with 26 seconds to play. And now a penalty flag to adjudicate.
Holding. Offense number 81, 10-yard penalty, second down.
So, Rich, when you look at it, this could be a season high in points for Army, 41, and it's going to be the second most points given up by a UConn defense that was decent this season, with the only other one being Florida Atlantic in their last game where they gave up 45 points.
So now the final seconds ticking away. Looks like there's going to be a Gatorade bath on the Army sideline. Jeff Monken trying to stay as clear of that as he can. He's actually on the field trying to stay away. Out of the shotgun. Here's the handoff, running right and cutting back a couple of yards for MJ Flowers, and the Gatorade bath out. A winner. The Black Knights dominating the 2025 Fenway Bowl, defeating UConn by the final score of 41-16. And now the game after the game, Jeff Monken being chased by Colin Madison. They finally get him with the Gatorade bath on the near side 35-yard line. Madison was leading the charge with a couple of teammates. And now Army can celebrate. 2 touchdowns for the freshman, God's Power Wawihe. He is the Fenway Bowl offensive MVP, and in his final collegiate game, the Army co-captain, Caleb Fortner, the defensive MVP. Army dominates, defeats UConn 41-16.
And did it with a rushing attack that was relentless. When you look at it, they rushed today. Total yards, 476, 108 passing, 368 yards on the ground. And a bunch of touchdowns coming from Wawihe. He had 2, Helms had 2, and Smith had 1. And then a long touchdown pass to Short. Just a big contribution from just about everybody today.
Army finishes the season with 7 wins, 6-1 in bowl games under Jeff Monken. There was no doubt in this one. Army had a 4-point lead at halftime, but broke things open in the second half, got rid of some troublesome mistakes, some annoying mistakes in the first half, and they are the 2025 Fenway Bowl champions. And now the trophy presentation is being lined up. Army came out of the Red Sox dugout, and they're actually clearing away the area above the dugout where the Fenway Bowl championship trophy sits. Executive Director Brett Miller, who's been great to work with, and this Army team over the last few weeks, especially the last several days, will give out that trophy. We mentioned the MVPs have been decided. God's Power Wawihe on the offensive side, Caleb Fortner, the defensive MVP, and Army will now head out to right field by the pesky pole, where the Cadet Spirit Band will play the West Point alma mater. Cody Harris Miller maybe is the most excited Black Knight. He's all the way in front of the right field grandstand, throwing snow in the air. What a season for him, coming back from the knee injury. And the Army players, not quite snow angels, but throwing snow all over the place as the Black Knights celebrate. Really just a great way to end a season that's had its ups, it's had its downs, and this team and this senior class can always remember that they went out winners here on a Saturday afternoon at Fenway Park in Boston. And now we will go down to the field as the Army players will assemble in front of that pesky pole as the Cadet Spirit Band will play the West Point alma mater. 2025 Fenway Bowl champions, defeating UConn by the final score of 41-16.
So, handed a note, God's Power has been named the offensive MVP. Fortner has been named the defensive MVP.
And Army able to celebrate with one of its seniors and one of its freshmen winning the MVP honors. Let's go down to the field. And Tony Marino with some victorious Black Knights.
Yeah, I'm here with the senior co-captain, Andon Thomas. Andon, to have the opportunity to walk off this field in your final game with a victory, what does that mean to you in this class of seniors?
Yeah, it means so much. I thank God for, just the team and to be able to be a part of this and play this bowl game. All glory to him. But to play my last game ever and come out with a win, it feels great. I'm just so proud of the guys, and, it's a great feeling.
There were so many things that we saw in this game that we hadn't seen for so long. God's Power, GP as you guys call them, those touchdowns. There was Noah Short needing the yardage to become the first ever 1,000 receiving. And then the defense played so many roles. You played so many guys. To see this come together in your final game to watch this, what was it like through your eyes?
Yeah, it was truly amazing. Obviously coming off a tough loss a couple weeks ago, but it speaks a lot to the character of the guys and the coaching staff and how we were able to come back and battle back from a tough loss and, ultimately come out with a win. But, it's just really the guys executing their fundamentals, doing their 111th. I just really couldn't be proud of all of them.
They say it's like with softball, you can go play or baseball, you go play rec ball. It's hard to play rec football. Knowing that this could be the last time you put on the pads, it certainly is. What's your emotions right now?
Yeah, it hasn't quite hit me yet. I've started to think about it a little bit. This is 15 years of playing this game. I've dedicated my life to it. There's all the people that have poured into me. I've just been thinking about them, and for us to be able to win my last game ever and a lot of these seniors' last games ever, it's just unspeakable.
Congratulations. Go celebrate.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You bet. That's Andon Thomas, guys. We'll be back with a couple more players after this.
Army defeats UConn.